Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Tuesday Night Football. I am here with the illustrious Nick. Is it Falato?
Yeah, Falato.
Got it right. All right, fellow Italian.
Of course, yes.
I'm a quarter. Nobody believes it because of the. No, my hair's not really blonde anymore, but it's like dirty blonde and the blue eyes. So even my girlfriend sometimes she'll like, us Italians. I'm like, I'm a quarter Italian, right? Like, but yeah. So anyway, welcome to the show. We're going to talk about one of my favorites, Wink Martindale, and his new journey with the Giants, specifically their game against. Oh, my computer just freaked out. Okay, we're good. Against the Jaguars, this wouldn't be a Tuesday Night Football without some sort of weird technical issue at some point. But anyway, Nick is joining us. Nick, introduce yourself a little bit, and then I want to hear your thoughts on this game and how the defense has changed with Wink in charge.
So thank you firstly, Coach Vass, for having me on the podcast. I'm a big fan of yours, and it's an absolute privilege to be on here to talk some New York Giants and Wink Martindale's defense. I am a writer right now for SB Nation's Big Blue View, and I co-host a podcast with CBS's Dan Schneier called the Big Blue Banter Podcast, where we cover the X's and O's and all of that kind of stuff about the New York Football Giants. And it's really exciting time right now for the Giants because the Giants are playing with house money. Nobody expected the Giants to be any good this season, and the Giants deviated from the somewhat insular parts of what the New York Giants have been over so long, because they've just have had guys like Dave Gettleman and personnel people in the building who were so specific to the New York Giants, related to them. A lot of nepotism within this organization. So they go out and they get Joe Shane, they bring in Brian Daboll, and it's kind of house money, like I said, in this first year. And now they're sitting at 6-1. And the preparation and the coaching from Mike Kafka and Wink Martindale is something to marvel at, in my opinion, that they're able to do this with as many injuries as they have and getting the most out of players like Daniel Jones. So I absolutely love what I'm seeing from the New York Giants on the football field. They're definitely not the most talented team in terms of the roster, but against Jacksonville, I have to say, from the defensive standpoint, this was probably one of their worst games, and they ended up winning. They ended up getting a Travis Etienne fumble, and it's something that the New York Giants are kind of making a habit of. They play really mistake-free football. They're kind of modus operandi is to play mistake-free football and then make opposing teams pay when they make mistakes, essentially. So you look through a lot of these games and a lot of these wins. The Travis Etienne fumble was a huge turning point in this game because Jacksonville was right on the goal line. Xavier McKinney knocks the ball away. That's gigantic. Lamar Jackson had 2 fourth-quarter turnovers late in the game that helped the New York Giants win. Justin Fields, strip sack fumble. And you also look at what the offense is doing. The offense is sustaining drives throughout in the second half. They're just sustaining long drives, 15-play drives, 11-play drives, every single game. And Daniel Jones is doing a good job getting the football out of his hands and making defenses pay and just doing what Mike Kafka and Brian Daboll are asking him to do. But this defensive performance, Coach, the run defense is an issue, especially laterally. And we saw it a lot in week 3 against Dallas, primetime television. It was just a lot of pin pull, get the play side tackle out into space, isolate him against a cornerback. And you saw long runs from Tony Pollard. You saw long runs from Ezekiel Elliott in that game. And I feel like ever since then, teams have been trying to exploit the Giants laterally. They don't necessarily run up the A gap too much, especially when they're in base personnel, because Dexter Lawrence is having one heck of a year. But I have my concerns about the run defense and how sustainable that's going to be moving forward.
Spoiler alert warning. I was very, very underwhelmed by this game. I'm going to be I'm an honest guy. I don't have an agenda. I will say this in the interest of full disclosure. I'm friends with Mike Kafka. Went to his place in Kansas City. We talked ball, got an afternoon out of him in July of, I guess it was June or July of 21. I think it was it doesn't matter. It was like a year and a half ago, around a year and a half ago. I think he's amazing. I think he's one of the best offensive minds in the NFL. And I know it's easy when Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback and all this stuff. Maybe, but look at what Matt Nagy did after he left. And look at what Kafka's doing. And he's not alone. He's with Daboll. So, I mean, there's not, that's not a shot at Matt Nagy. I'm just saying we had Patrick Mahomes. Of course he's going to be great. Well, he's got a guy that the talk before the year was they wanted to replace him, right? I mean, right? I mean, that was what they've been saying. Is that correct? I'm not
wanted to replace Daniel Jones. Yeah, they didn't pick up
in the future, not this year, but like going forward. Like this is his last year. They were going to let him go, and
it was always fiscally responsible to have Daniel Jones play this season and then see what the future held. And picking up his fifth-year option, it didn't necessarily make sense. And if you were to ask me, 7 weeks ago, what do you thought of Daniel Jones? I'd be like, this is his last season. It's a year that, is kind of just a rebuilding year, whatever. But Daniel Jones this coaching staff is maximizing his greatest gift, which is his mobility, which we haven't really seen all that much. And luckily he's staying relatively healthy this year, but he's also playing really comfortably within the confines of this system. And the way Mike Kafka is sequencing these plays, it's excellent. He's showing similar looks and then running something else off of it. And the defense in every single one of these games is never prepared for it. And any adjustment that the defense makes, he makes an adjustment off of that. And then even if you want to just, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Look what they did against Jacksonville in this game on the last drive. 8-play drive, coach, 8 of the same exact plays. And Jacksonville ended up just basically looking so demoralized, and the Giants kick a field goal to go up by 6, which proved to be really important in this game. Mike Kafka is somebody that I am scared to lose. I think a lot of NFL teams are going to look at him, even though this is his first time calling plays, but they're going to see what he's doing with Daniel Jones and what he's doing with this Giants roster. And I wouldn't be shocked if by the end of the year, if the Giants keep this up and they stay hot on offense, if he ends up getting plucked for even a head coaching spot, which sounds ridiculous because it's so fast, but what he's doing is remarkable right now.
Well, how do I say this? I have to pause here for a second. So I don't think it's that remarkable because I think going into last year, he was a head coaching candidate.
I mean the remarkable part, if I may,
inside info and stuff but it was well known. Okay, so let me take a step back. If you look at pre-2021, going into the season, his name was kicked around. That was not a secret, right?
Yeah.
Okay. From there, a lot of guys who were QB coach turned head coaches fell flat on their face. And so, and what were the hot names? McVay guys, the coordinators became the hot name. So I think that's why people weren't sniffing around. And I think he got this job. He took it, obviously. So for him to go from QB coach to OC to head coach that fast, for most people, yes. But those were already in the cart. First of all, Mike is a great man, and he's super smart. And he combines very well the left brain, right brain stuff. So he's super analytical, super smart. Has that math side of the brain, and then is super charismatic and can command a room and those things, which sometimes you don't always find that total package. And he's a very creative. It's interesting because he's very he's a Northwestern guy, super smart, but also has the creativity side, which not everybody has. I know I'm one side. I mean, most people are one or the other, or they're a little bit of both, but he's he's outstanding. And so I don't think it's that much of a leap because of what was going on going into last year and knowing seeing the conversations. But I get your point, and I understand where for most people that'd be yeah, that's kind of crazy. But let me ask you this. Let me talk about the Giants defense real quick before we get started. This game, we're going to see some stuff. Again, I was kind of overwhelmed. I know Wink's creativity, and I thought with Trevor Lawrence, they were going to heat him up and do all this crazy stuff, which they didn't. But what did you see in this game versus the other games? In comparison, like you talked about in the I think we talked about this in the pre-interview about Lamar Jackson and not stunning and then doing a bunch of stunts versus – and that's obvious because you don't want to have an interior lineman containing versus Lamar. But did you see anything else in this game? Because as I mentioned to you, I study Wink holistically. So I'll watch all their clips, but I'm not going, oh, what did you do versus the Eagles versus the Jets or whatever? This is where it's great to have a guy like you that can give us context and okay, we're going to talk about today, and you may know what happened today, And I can tell you the last 6 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, if I had to say something, Coach, it was, and some of this has to do with where the Jags were on the field, but the final 3 plays of the game, which was just like the Titans-Rams Super Bowl with Kevin Dyson getting tackled by Mike Jones on the 1-yard line with Christian Kirk. What ended up happening on those final 3 plays, Wink Martindale's known for aggressiveness. He's known for pressure. He dropped 8 on all 3 of those plays, which isn't necessarily the MO of what you would think from Wink Martindale. And I know when Aaron Rodgers was close to the goal line in a similar type of situation just 2 plus weeks ago, Wink brought some pressure, dropped the end man on the line of scrimmage off underneath the number 2, which is something that the Giants have had success doing against Green Bay. They had success against Lamar Jackson with O'Shane Ximines as well. But I would say in a similar situation against Jacksonville, when the game was on the line, he dropped 8 on 3 consecutive plays and did not bring the pressure and just allowed Kayvon Thibodeau to pin his ears back. And I don't necessarily remember the other 2 players, but I felt like that was one of the something about Wink Martindale that he doesn't get credit for, I think, is his ability to adjust his game plan. He's not always just, I'm going to send insane pressure. He will be judicious with when he does it. He loves to overload the line of scrimmage, and he absolutely loves to waste blockers, specifically on the inside, and then bring, Xavier McKinney, a safety, the apex defender, a cornerback, a linebacker off the edge, screaming or scheming a 2-versus-1 and a 6-man protection against the running back, which is something that he's done several times this season. I didn't see that all that much against Jacksonville. It was a much more, we're going to drop into coverage. And the times where they did scheme unblocked rushers, I felt like Doug Peterson had something in his playbook to tell Trevor Lawrence whenever he saw that there was going to be a quick pass. Could have been an alert at the line of scrimmage or what have you. But Trevor Lawrence did a really good job on the plays where Kayvon Thibodeau was unblocked to just get rid of the football and then try to pick up whatever yardage were there. So Trevor Lawrence wasn't just a sitting duck back there for Wink Martindale to blitz.
Yeah, I noticed that too. There was a couple of plays where he had a 1-man rush. I want to say it was the end of the half. He rushed 1 guy.
Yeah.
I saw the PFF data and I went, that's got to be wrong. And then I saw 3 in a row, because what I'll do a lot of the times when I get the data is if you've ever seen PFF data, it'll be like number of rushers, 7, and then it'll be this long string of shit that like has like NYG 05, NYG 17 or whatever. And I just cap all that and just put how many rushers. Same thing with coverage. And I saw number of rushers 1, number of droppers 10. I'm like, am I high? Like, what's going on here? So anyway, all right. You ready to get into the film?
Yeah, let's do it. Should be fun.
Okay, so if you've watched me before, this is the part of the night that I panic because I have to do this like little peek behind the curtains. I have to do this thing on StreamYard where I like switch brands. What the fuck that means. So we're going to try and do this with the least amount of misery as possible. Are you ready? You stretch a little bit. All right, here we go. Please, God, don't screw us up. All right. We're going to add to the stream. We're going to switch to huddle. We're going to lose our overlay. What's going on? Screw it. This is perfect. I don't care. Fuck the overlay. I'm good. We got some background music if you guys have been following lately. If it's too distracting, again, we're trying things out. If it's too distracting, let me know. I just hate just talking with silence. So I like to put a little something in the background. So let's get into it here. Start the music up. Okay, feeling the vibe here. I added some more songs. I wanted to add more, but that's all right. Anyway, you guys aren't here for that shit. You don't care. I get it. All right, first play of the game. The Jaguars get 4 to 1 side. So I'm going to try to be good about this. The Giants are in base personnel. The Jaguars are in 12. It's 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. They're in a 3-by-1 set, or motioning to 3-by-1. They get 4 strong, so they're going to go here, I believe here, and then bring a guy across.
Yes.
The corner outside messes up. When you get into stack alignments, okay, you either have to push and let the corner take this, which you don't want to do, and push these 2 guys over, which is just not great, or you leverage someone into the flat. You would take the first outside, you would take the first inside. Okay? What ends up happening is they're layering, and in this situation, what you have to do The hardest thing when you banjo or combo or whatever you call it is when guys go the same direction. So normally in stacks, when they get to a stack alignment here, because you don't want to play quarters versus you want to zone it off. Okay? So what's going to happen is when they get to stack alignment right there, they're thinking, I'm taking first out, I'm taking first in. However, if this guy goes here and this guy goes deeper, I'm going to have to take the first inside. I'm going to have to take the second inside because this guy can't get to that. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it makes plenty of sense.
Both outside, you want to have him take the first outside. So hold off, but be ready. As soon as this guy goes to break, you buy time with your depth for him to get over here, and then you drive down. Not on the flat, you want to push someone through. They don't do that. They don't push through. They don't push this guy through. This is cover 4, or a zoned off version. He needs to take the out. He needs to take the corner. So right now, once he sees he's over, he needs to drive this immediately.
So that's a mistake on Fabian Moreau right there, who is a newer.
Context clues now. Normal disclaimer that I give every week. I don't 100% know what's happening because I'm not in those meeting rooms and I don't know their stack checks. But I will say this: what I do know is I've seen a shitload of stack checks with how they're aligned to playing. I have never seen one where they would put this guy, this safety, on the out, and this guy on the vertical when they're stacked. Now, if it was this, then it would be here. But when they're stacked, when they're getting to a stack alignment, I mean, that's clearly a quarter zone. But what needs to happen is he needs to push through. This player needs to work through with this. It's a drop. It's actually drop 8 here, I believe. No, oh, they dropped Thibodeau because it's 3-4. Sorry. Also, first things first, I didn't understand this game. I don't understand what Wink is doing putting Thibodeau. It's Thibodeau, right?
Yeah.
Can I tell you a fun, quick Thibodeau story?
I would love to hear this.
Okay. So back in 2018, 2019, I think it was 2018. I was at Clovis High School, and my buddy Stephen Lowe, one of my best friends, was the offensive coordinator at St. John Bosco.
Cheers.
I think we had a bye week. And he's like, hey, man, this team runs. No, he was in the playoffs. We were out. Yeah, that was it. So, I'll ruin the story if I give that detail. Anyway, so he's like, hey, this team runs the TCU system. We've done this for years. We did it together when we coached. You know, what do you see here, what they're trying to do? Take a look at them. So I wrote some notes up. And I didn't know who. This just proves my point about not knowing the players and things. So at this point, I get the film, and I'm watching. So I watch a couple hours, put together a bunch of notes, how to attack them. And I said, yeah, and also I would try to block this number 5 guy who's pretty good. It was Kayvon Thibodeau. I had no idea. He's like, yeah, he's the number 1 prospect in the country. I was like, oh, okay.
I was pretty ecstatic that the Giants were able to land him. Do you think that something that might have messed up with whatever the assignments were was Christian Kirk kind of motioning back into that side of the field, and how that might have just created some sort of confusion, whether it would have been Fabian Moreau or Xavier McKinney?
Maybe, but here's my thought here. Even if he doesn't motion across, because they snapped the ball right here, so it's really a 2-back formation or bunch formation. It would play out the same if that guy ran a swing. I don't have the annotations on because I'd have to erase them every time. But does that make sense? If they snapped the ball, he ran a swing, would fit exactly the same way.
Because it would have just been a player in the flat.
Yeah. So he should push. He should take him back. He's going to push to the middle of the field. So really, you can even, you can make some sort of call to push this late and almost turn this, and then he's going to look for bullshit or whatever back to the screen guy. What I don't understand, though, is playing Thibodeau with the Sam. There's a lot of times where he's to the tight end and dropping. I don't get that.
Yeah, so Wink Martindale, back when he was with Baltimore, he loves his Sam linebackers. Like, he used
Yeah.
Tyus Bowser all the time in that type of manner, and Bowser would also be like an excellent pass rusher for him. So that's something that I felt like Kayvon Thibodeau was going to do a lot more dropping into coverage than probably a lot of people would want, just because he's such a prolific, or he has the potential to be such a prolific pass rusher, even so young. Absolutely. I'll say this though, Coach, too, with Fabian Moreau, he's relatively new to the New York Giants, because the Giants were going to start Aaron Robinson as their cornerback outside. He ended up having an appendectomy, came back 2 games later miraculously, and then he suffered a pretty bad knee injury, and it's kind of uncertain when he's going to be back. So Moreau's kind of just a street free agent who stepped in, and he made a lot of big plays in this game and has played pretty well for the New York Giants, but he is somewhat newer to the system.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I mean, it's got to be hard. I mean, that's the one thing about the NFL that I always talk about when people say, you know, why this guy, why that guy? And I have to tell myself sometimes when I'm like, why are these schemes so simple? Is I always forget, like, you got to sign guys on a Monday and they got to play on a Sunday. Like, you got to keep it simple. But, all right. So let's go into the next play here. All right, so next play. I was very disappointed. And again, I know I may be a little bit of a party pooper. Again, if you're seeing me for the first time, I've got teams that I like. Like, and this is kind of one of the fun things for me, I'm not in the business, but business adjacent, whatever you want to call it, is that, like, I've never watched the Giants or cared for the Giants until now, but then Mike gets hired by the Giants, and so I'm like rooting for him. It was the same thing with the Ravens. Mike McDonald got hired, and now I'm like, I always have a soft spot for the Ravens, which is why I wanted Wink to come on the podcast. But, you know, now I'm even more fired up to watch these guys and taking an interest in teams that I never thought I would. Watch the Giants and be like, come on, like, you know, it's just fun. It makes this more fun.
All the good relationships in the league. Yeah, people in the chat saying the music is great, but to turn it down a little bit.
Yeah, sure. It's really low on my end, so. Yeah, thanks, guys, for the feedback. Anything y'all need. I would love in the chat, so I'm going in the chat here. Love to watch your breakdown of Alabama's defense. I would love to do that too, but I'm not going to get sued over it, so. Y'all saw what happened to Brett Coleman got into it today with what's their names. I don't want any problems. The NFL will take my money and then just leave me alone, which I don't make much. I think enough a month to pay for StreamYard. I think it cancels it out. But I don't know if Jordan or Joseph, I'm reading the comments late. This says, I've heard the term leverage the break by the deep safety. I don't think it applies here, but can you explain the concept? I mean, maybe give me some more context on that one, because leverage the break doesn't mean anything to me. Anyway, I'll go back to this and then just add some context. Yeah, because I have to watch the screen, so I can't see the chat. I got to watch the hollow screen because that was on my notes. All right, so this is one thing that will you help me moderate too? I'm putting you to work tonight.
Absolutely.
Guys, thanks on the music. Seriously, I do that just for fun. It's not something, if it bothers you, you're like, dude, turn that shit off. Unless that's one person, then you can go screw yourself. Just kidding. All right, so here's something. I'm just going to get into on this because of the run. This is a way to play man. It's the easy way versus the run, but it also sucks sometimes. And basically what happens is you say, okay, actually, let's go back to the wide copy here. Actually, no, let's go back here. All right, so we have 13 personnel, base defense from the Giants, 1st and 10 from the 43-yard line. You got a 2x2 set. So somebody's got to take this tight end, somebody's got to take this tight end, somebody's got to take this tight end. So normally you'd say, all right, well, we're going to play the Will here. We'll make his run gap the C gap, which is what they do, so he can cover the tight end. We'll have a Mike in the A, stacked in here. We'll have someone leveraging this guy, someone leveraging this guy, and then you have an edge rusher here, and then let's say this guy has the back. And they'll funnel fit this, meaning if this guy comes back, then everybody's fit pushes over, and this guy would be the guy that has him would be responsible for the cutback.
Okay.
So one guy moving, you'd say back, funnel fit, and you have to be careful. What you want to do is Thibodeau has to take one of these guys, unless it's a 5-man rush. So let's actually back up here. Let's take a step back. All right, so let's say we're playing Mike, Will. Let's say we're bringing the strong safety in the box. Let's put the Will on the tight end, the Mike and the strong safety are banjoing the back, meaning to my side. I'm going to be the rat unless he comes to my side and swings. Then I'll take him, and then you be the rat. Otherwise, you got him. The Mike has him. Thibodeau is going to take the tight end. Safety or corner will take the wing because it's 13 personnel to be a corner. And this guy here, this strong safety's extra, right? He's playing here would be he's playing a 2, so he's really playing the A gap. So let's say the strong safety's playing the B, the Mike's playing the A, the Will has the C. So we have good. Is that good? Does that make sense to everybody? I want to take this slow because this is a concept that a lot of people don't understand. But what happens is when the gaps move post-snap, we got to pull everyone back. Because if not, this guy kicks out this guy. He goes and seals his ass inside, and now they just run out here. So what ends up having to happen is this guy has to play outside of his gap. He's got to be the lever of the defense, meaning he has to spill back. The Mike will have to fit this C gap, and the strong safety will have to come back and end up playing the A gap, but always leveraging the back. So this strong safety that's supposed to be here, right, he's going to be ready to fall back this way, but he's going to keep the back on his inside shoulder. So if he comes at him, he's going to stay here. He's not going to run over the A gap. So they're responsible for gaps ultimately, but they're fitting off the running back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so.
So this Mike linebacker, when this guy comes back, he's not necessarily going to run over here, but he's going to be ready to stack and come back. But this Will has to set the edge.
It's a Dory Jackson that ends up just following Evan Ingram right at the snap here, I believe.
That's the problem. They say, all right, you're going to play here, and you're going to play here. And when this guy comes back, we're just going to have the corner run over. Well, it works out here, but doesn't always work out. Can you see the problem right there? Open, because they arc the tight end, they influence this guy out.
That's going to be wide open.
Wide ass open.
Yeah.
The back makes a brutal cut. He should cut this right here. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. He runs right back into the defensive end. Okay.
It's a double team block climbing to the second level defender. Unreal. Right there.
So just put that one in your, put that one in your memory bank for what's coming, because this is gonna come back and bite them later. All right. So we have whip fire zone here, which is a fire zone, or it could be a 5-man rush. Can't tell because it's run, as I've said before. Simulated fire zones and even 6-man pressures can all look the same if it's a run. Because if Tibbs is supposed to drop, does he go by Tibbs at all?
I think there are fans who refer to him in that manner.
Okay, so it's not like if I say like San Fran, people will shoot me. Or like if I call him Tibbs, I'm going to get some angry Giants fan calling me a loser.
No, I don't believe the Giant fans will come at you for that.
Okay, good. All right, so Thibodeau, he could be dropping or rushing, but we never know. This is a standard blitz. I've talked a lot about it. I made a video about this. This guy's got to fit inside. So here's what I saw a lot of, to be honest with you. And I'm going to be more critical than I usually am on a stream like this. They won the game. They did a good job. But there's little shit that's like, come on, man. Like, I know my freshman team at Sarah could do this stuff. Like this, blitzing like this, playing the run like that. Okay. When I coached at Sarah and I coached at Millsaps, and this came from TCU, we have 2 rules as safeties, and it fits for the linebackers too. DGTYK, which means don't go till you know. And rule number 2 was don't run down the middle of fat guys. Don't do it. This is bad. And this is a blitz. He ducks his head, gets his hands outside the frame. He doesn't take a side. He's trying to 2-gap somebody who's way bigger than him. It's just bad. I mean, that's bad. And he loses himself. The ball's out to the edge. He has no chance of getting there. And Tibbs loses the edge here. He takes an inside move. You cannot take an inside move here. If your pressure's coming from this way, you have to get your ass outside of here and set the edge. Because you have 2 inside players. One has given himself up and blitzed, and the other one is supposed to flow. Well, if they get him and you go out here, now you have to be getting a safety. Look at all that space.
Yeah.
A corner. Looks like it's a corner. Look at all that space. Like, these guys should be slanting this way. And if they're not, if they're just playing technique, and rushing, then it's a poorly designed blitz. You can say, well, with this guy here, he's going to be the edge setter, and he's going to be the seek-out player. Okay, well, problem. There's no gaps over here anymore, right? I cancel this. I step to here. I set the edge. The gap is here. And if he gets outside and they stay on it, he can actually play both gaps. Because, well, it's not really both gaps, but you're pushing everything out, funnel it back to here, and then you have an edge. Also, this puts people in conflict. So unless you're playing cover 2 defense, which you're not here, you're playing 3 deep, you're putting guys in conflict. The safety here also, and really, it's almost on the, I'd say it's on the safety. So if you're going to fit, so it's one of 2 people's problems. Either he's got to fit here and he's got to fit here now, because if they're playing cover 3, he's the force player. He's reading off a number 2, and then the corner. So what should happen here is, what's the next play? And I know I'm going slow on these first plays, but I just want to illustrate. You're going to see the same thing show up again. So if Tibbs is off the tackle here, if they're not slanting, which I don't know why, then this guy has to play in between 2 and this guy, and then he's got to play the edge, or this guy has to aggressively fit, but if he gets blocked, that's a problem. And you can see with this going back, now it really should be, now it's even less of a problem because you have no one to block off the edge, right? So Tibbs fits here, safety fits in between. You treat this as crack or place and go. He runs outside and he runs outside. Tibbs goes inside. There's your alley. Again, bad vision by Etienne. So the problem I saw with Etienne is it's bad vision. He should plan his ass right now and go right there, and he may score. He's got an escort.
There's no reason to elongate that.
There's 2 bad runs in a row from him, and they got 14 yards on that. That could have gone for 6, or even one-on-one for free safety.
Do you think this is possibly just Thibodeau trying to undercut where Evan Ingram was in that manner right there?
It's either bad technique or bad scheme, and either way, it's not good. Like, you can't do that. The questions with the Alabama stuff, we'll get to all that later. I'm here to focus on this game. We can talk about that after, but I don't want to interrupt. All right, good. I said comments here. Good coverage. It's completion for 11 yards, but decent coverage for Palm with close splits. Is this the wrong? Oh, no. So they're playing quarters here. So
yeah,
one of the issues that you get is the safety looks like he's playing Palm's coverage, meaning he's getting out over the top. I know people, so Palms is quarters, but if 2 goes out, the corner takes and the safety gets over the top.
Mm-hmm.
Hard with 3 people, he should be wider in his alignment if they're playing that. He should not be so heavy on 3 because you're going to have to poach 3 with the backside safety, which is what they're doing. I mean, he's looking right at him. So there's no point if you don't have responsibility in number 3, you should widen out and apex 2 and 3. Like I taught middle schoolers this stuff. And this is what drove me crazy about this game. Again, I'm not a hater. I just told you I enjoy watching the Giants play. I saw a lot of bad defense. And I don't like, here's the reality. I don't like talking about that. Like I've never done anything where I'm like, look at these people get shredded, because that's not fun for me. Because then it just comes off as I'm a condescending prick. Like, oh, look how smart I am. And oh, I would do this and I would do that. I'm a fucking former high school coach, coached in college for a little bit. And I have a podcast. Like, I'm not going to sit here and do this. So, but what happened with this game is I was thinking they did a great job. And then I turned on the film and I already announced it. And then I'm watching the game and I'm like, I almost canceled it because I was just like, what? Like, there's so many times we were scratching your head going, the good thing is, the good news about all of these things is it's easily fixable. There's not a huge talent gap. So this is going to be more of a like, if you want to make a deep playoff run, you got to fix these things. And it's little stuff like this play, right? If you're going to play 2 read over one of these guys is wrong, right? Because he's playing this man-to-man, and he's going out thinking that if 2 goes out, I got him. Unless they're turning it into some weird 3 cloud thing where I have but he's not playing the flats. You would take this if you had the flats. So one of these guys is wrong. His alignment, he should be wider no matter what, because this guy is playing 3 vertical. Why do you need to line up this tight to 3? If you have 3 coming back, you have a guy taking number 3, and he's your short player. So if he goes underneath, they can go here and pass it back. Does that make sense?
It does.
So stuff like this that I see that I'm like, all right, well, why is he running over the top if he's taking him and 2 is out? It should either play where this guy hangs in the curl. So, and here's the thing, how this all fits together. He's right, he's wrong. Now I get where, and maybe this is what you're doing. Okay, well, if he's responsible for 3 and 2 goes out, well, then he's going to snap his eyes to 1. Well, yeah, but if this guy's playing a man-to-man, then he should be ready to play any kind of shit coming back in here. He's in a position to cut this off and go play. You can't line up here and get out over the top and play over the top like half failed. You can't. You can't line up that tight and play that way. And you could see, I mean, if he gets there, I mean, if he throws a go ball right there, he's too flat. He's not making a play on that. Look at his ankle. Now, he doesn't. I mean, he comes back inside, which is where he's able, but that just doesn't make any sense to me. Because if this dude sticks his foot in the ground and comes back inside, now you have 2 guys outside here. Because, yeah, he's inside, but his belly button's pointing right there. If this dude sticks his foot in the ground and runs a dig, he ain't getting there. He has the chance to get there. He's an inside player. So even if he's playing inside man, you're still playing wide enough where you may want to get help inside. And it's the little things that I saw that I was like, what? And I didn't see this at the Ravens. Again, this is his first year. He had some crazy studs. And I know you mentioned you got guys playing, coming off the streets and playing. I just was surprised by some of the fundamentals.
That's not one of them right there, Julian Love. He's one of the team captains. And what is going on with the backside drag from the nub right there? It's just Adoree Jackson manned up. Is that a Meg type of coverage?
Here's the thing. Well, you can mod it and have one of the backers take it, because with this guy here, it's a split flow, meaning if they bring someone back, then he can take it, right? Mm-hmm. This guy can take it under, but because everything's disappearing, you could let it go to this guy. Now, the problem is in the NFL, they'll do this and then play up the field. So he's going to secure 3 coming across, and because they're not going to run into each other, right? You have the cornerback here where you can play that and pass back anything coming this way. Again, this is one thing we didn't cover. So he's walling, he's pointing that he's going across to who's he pointing to? This guy? The guy that's taking the wheel?
It's not the first time that's happened either, where the linebackers have made some sort of undercall and it wasn't picked up and it was some sort of miscommunication.
So I have friends that don't like playing palms or 2 read coverage. They hate it, but they will tell you if they see post wheel, that's their first go-to. Because the corner takes the wheel, the safety plays the post or the dig. This guy can sit and play 3 out. Because if they run this, The old Cam, I call it the Cam Newton route because that's the first time I saw it was when Auburn. Who's going to take that? This guy that's running with the wheel, that guy that's running with this guy that's running with the go ball or the post, they're drained out of there. This guy's going to have to take this out to the flat. That's bad defense now.
That's terrible.
So the only way you can defend that is you put him on the wheel, him on the post. If he goes out to the flat, he takes this, which is the same thing. I mean, this guy running a drive route or this guy going out's the same thing, right? I mean, it's going to take a while to get there, but they end up when the end of the play, right there, you see the distribution.
Yeah.
So what should happen here, if it's quarters, if he's the wall and you're saying I have to short wall anything, once he clears past me right here, I shouldn't be turning to him. I should back up, make him go around me back to this guy.
Yep.
I should be taking this across, and I should be here looking for this back.
That makes so much more sense. Speaking of post wheel, Giants offense, huge fan of the post wheel route. Yet they run it like every single game. I don't think they've thrown the post or the wheel portion quite yet, but it opens up so many routes underneath from the backside.
Does that make sense? I'm getting real technical tonight. Usually I'm like, that's a great play, and then let's move on.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. And I love how you break it down, and I'm learning stuff too, just watching you break it down as well.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. Also in the chat, Zay Jones ran the jet sweep. I'm sorry, Travis, you caught astray at the end.
Yeah, I should have said that actually.
Sorry. That everybody knows I don't know that shit. So if I like people pointing out the when I'm wrong, like obviously, but like if anybody ever gives me shit about it, I'm like, yeah, I don't care. All right, we got I'm so mad I'm getting lackadaisical. What'd you say, my friend?
No, I was just gonna say this is frustrating right here because this is the tight end screen to Dan Arnold, and the Giants up until this point were pretty damn good against these tight end screens and running back screens. They surrendered one big play to Cole Kmet against Chicago, but other than that, they've been pretty aware whenever it happened. It seemed like in this game they were not ready for it, and I don't believe this is the only time where the Jags hit some sort of quick pass, some sort of screen. So this one was frustrating.
Yeah, so we have base defense here. 1st and 10 from the 31-yard line going in, 12 personnel. We've hit the fringe. Actually, I don't even think I addressed the end of this play. And they end up throwing to the three running that dig. Like, there's no reason for everybody to be bailing out of here. Somebody's got to sit down on this shit, even if it's Adoree. Now, Adoree goes with it, so that he's late. It's just all fucked up. Sorry, I went through all the stuff and then didn't do the path. This is a really good play design. The Giants bring 5. Play a kind of quarters adjustment.
Yeah, I love this
play coverage like this. So somebody is responsible for reading too. This is why when we play quarters, and again, this is at the high school, small college level. When we play quarters and these guys were keying off number 2, if he blocked, they didn't do that. You have safeties now. It looks like they're playing some sort of. Okay, so I know what this is. This is what is called in that world two Tracy, I believe, or Tracy. This goes back to Mike Nolan. I think it's 3 deep versus 3x1 and 2 deep versus 2x2. Because they're clearly in a 1 high shell. They motion, and you can see this guy who's thinking he's got to play the flats. This is just saw dog or like double edge. Fire zone 3 to 3x1, 2x2 becomes halves because you can see this guy pop back. He's playing. It's cover 2 to this side and quarters to this side. And it's based on the splits and whatever and game plan, which I don't know. That is completely 100% on. You got to be in the room thing. But like, there's no you got this guy fucking. I'm sorry, pardon the French. You have this guy double. Why are you turning and running? That is your key.
Yeah, the linebacker play
drives me insane. And I'm not asking you like I'm gonna soapbox for a second. I'm not asking you to be the middle runner in Tampa 2 and like run with a guy 40 yards. I'm asking you to sit there and stare at someone and not move. You have in this coverage, You have people everywhere popping the top. They're all playing all this shit. You got one job, dude, and that is to keep. Now, I know they teach these guys to run deep, but this is why I don't understand. Okay, this side now. Technically, this is a two-back formation. He's going fast, right? He's out here. So this guy is going to play the inside piece over here. He's going to play the inside piece. He's going to play the flat or some sort of soft two read, depending on the surface. There are two people over here. One goes deep and one sits. You don't need to triple team the one guy because this side is drained out. This guy, he cannot help you. He has to push through there. Now this guy has to go because there's two guys going vertical. So he's wrong. He should be playing to this. Or if you're going to watch the back, right?
Yeah.
This is bullshit. I mean, how easy of a throw is that?
It's pretty easy. It's right there for him.
Like, there's a guy that I can't stand that used to say nothing deep, nothing cheap, which I used to hate that phrase. But when I see shit like that, like giving up just go balls down the sideline or just like dump offs, and you're turning and running down the field like Forrest Gump when there's two guys behind
you cut out for a second on my end.
What's that?
There you are.
Am I losing everybody? Are we having issues?
You cut out for me. I don't know if it was something on my end or on yours, but either way, I was about to hear what you could not stand, and then it cut out.
Oh, the guy's turning and running around like they're Forrest Gump with a guy sitting right there behind him. Like just little like dump offs. Like I could make that throw.
Yeah, Jalen Smith was signed a couple weeks ago, and he makes flash plays every now and again, but the linebacker position is an issue. It has been an issue, and the Giants had Blake Martinez, who was going to be their linebacker, but he and Giants, I think, amicably came to a departure, and now I think he's been like Las Vegas's practice squad because.
Wait, that's the guy from the Cowboys?
Yep, that's Jalen Smith.
Well, say no more. All right, 1st and 10. He's trying to sabotage y'all's ass. 1st and goal. We got nickel personnel on defense, 12 personnel by the offense, which I thought was interesting to go nickel inside the 7-yard line. There's 12. Interesting. We have a really bad fit right here. Touchdown.
Yeah. Tay Crowder.
Nobody knows where to line up. So here's what they're doing. I think they're playing. What they're trying to do is, I don't quite understand, but you would think you'd funnel fit this where you'd say, okay, you get here, safety or DB over here. You're gonna play nickel.
Okay.
This guy's gonna play him. Although I would put this backer on that tight end before I put him on Etienne. Is that Etienne right there? Right, number one?
Yes.
He looks like a Pop Warner player.
He's not big.
Like, he looks like a guy. I'm not saying he looks like a Pop Warner player. Compared to everyone else, he looks like one of those guys that won some drawing at the Super Bowl to get to play in the game. So put your safety, or put your backer on the tight end. If you're going to do this, right? Put your middle backer in the middle of it, and then put your safety over here. But whatever. But they do this goofy shit again, where I hate this. One guy motions, two guys go. They cross everything up, and instead of being like, I take the first thing to my side, cross key, I take the first thing coming over here. Dude hops inside. There's no one there. Touchdown. If you can't get lined up, defense is 3 things. 80% of defense is 3 things. Knowing where to line up, what to look at, and what to do. And then if you want to put in there as like another one, like how to stand, like your stance is very important. You know, if you're going to play inside man and you're going to bulky, you put your outside foot up so you can open your body up to see inside.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to have your inside foot up and you're looking over your shoulder. Shit like that. But we'll take that out. We'll just say where to stand. You can't do the first 3 things, you're not going to play. I don't give a shit who you are. The goddamn 85 Bears. It ain't going to matter.
Like I said, it seemed like this game, more so than even some of the other games. The Giants defense is far from flawless. There were a lot of these types of errors, these alignment errors, and these seeming miscommunication type of errors. And here's the 2-point conversion right here.
This is on Thibodeau, or not, is that Thibodeau?
Thibodeau's 5.
Is that him right there?
Yes, I believe. Yes. Goes inside again.
Maybe it's a pinch play. Maybe it's not, but it's a pinch. It looks like it's a pinch with a guy off each side. So maybe it's not his issue.
Could it be on either Julian Love or Darnay Holmes to scrape behind him going inside there, and they both kind of react to the bunch?
Here's the problem, though. It's 0 man. So these three have to guard these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy is on the back. He buries himself, which you shouldn't do when you got a pinching defense. The problem is my man here, doesn't get inside. He gets head up instead of ripping through. So now the linebacker sees a hole, right? And he starts to step up. And then there's only one linebacker. And I'm pretty sure this is some sort of RPO. Pre-snap. Like he sees man. He sees this look with this 6-1 look, and he's thinking, all right, these guys have to take these guys. So I'm going to hand this off. And they fold it, and you're out the gate. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit. All right, first play, counter for 15 yards. Not good. Got to talk this through a little bit. I feel really bad. I hate
just ragging on the linebackers.
I just hate these type of streams. I love Wink. I'm going to appreciate the Giants. But, this shit just drives me nuts. So, you've got tackle over, 12 personnel, 1st and 10 from the 21. So, they're unbalanced, right? Or they're not unbalanced, but they've got a tackle over. So, probably should move the front over just a tad bit. All right, let's talk about counter trade defense. This looks like this was some sort of blitz. The problem is I don't see anybody else stepping anywhere. So I don't know if this guy's just going A gap with no other movement. But with this many guys in the line, you need to have people behind the ball. So it looks like this is some sort of check by how they're lined up. But either way, when you play counter tray, okay, we talked about this before. What are the rules of counter tray? One guy has to be outside the first kick out. Somebody needs to be outside the second kick out. Somebody needs to be inside the second kick out.
Yeah.
So they're pulling. So it should be 68 should come here. 84, I can't see. Should come around. Someone should leverage him and force. If you're going to blitz, then you got to force the edge. You can't spill. And then this guy makes the tackle by fitting inside. These two guys pull. Okay. If you're going to sit this son of a bitch, you're going to sit the end like this. Stop. Yeah, clicker. If you're going to sit the end like this and give him the handoff, he has to play this way. If he chases and takes the play away, then he can step over the top. But you can't have, I sit here with 2 pullers on me, and this guy goes and blitzes up the ass of somebody else. There's nobody over here. Basic defense. They actually somehow fit this. The problem is here, inside, outside first puller, watch 29. This is insane to me. He goes back. He's supposed to fit outside second puller, right? He should be outside 84, closes off. Then there's your guy who's late to the party but still gets there inside of number 2. Nope, everybody gets pinned. Then the edge guy, take it on the block like he's got chicken wings, like this. You can't get outside and make a play. You got to stuff this low with your inside shoulder, keeping your outside leg and arm free to be able to bounce and play this. Not to mention this guy's a phenomenal athlete. Everybody's pinned inside. Ball's outside.
That's inexplicable, too, for Xavier McKinney, who's one of the more disciplined New York Giants and the green dot player on this defense. He plays every single snap. And when I saw this play initially on film, I had no clue what the hell he was doing because it's pretty uncharacteristic.
Yeah, it's what I just keep seeing this stuff, and I'm like, am I imagining this? Like, this is fundamental defense. Like, we taught this shit at Sarah High School. Like, it's just it's like our kids knew in every defense when we played a counter team. We taught it like almost like option. Outside the first puller, outside the second puller, inside the second puller. Like that is something that goes back like forever.
Like I said, you picked a bad game to watch.
I feel really bad. Like if there's any Giants fans in here, I mean, this is why I almost hit you back early this morning and was like, dude, I don't know if I want to do this or not. But I was like, there's some good stuff. The problem was early in the game, it was bad. But they tightened down. There's some good things. So we get an Omaha. Some guys call this Omaha, where you get the out and the stick out of 2x2. They don't even bother running the stick. They just run the stick and go. Tough. It's cover one. I'm doing a bad job. 11 personnel, 1st and 10 from the 36 nickel defense. They're playing cover one here. The DB is supposed to be an outside player. He is. The other problem with this guy is he bites on fakes going this way a lot.
Yeah.
So if you're playing in RPO land, first of all, the fat asses jump up and tell you it's pass. That's a freaking stretch read. They're pass blocking. It's a token fake. You're the rat. You guys are comboing this back. If you get this, again, this is like Benedictine College, NAIA school in Kansas plays this play. I'm not even trying to be offensive or like try to be funny or anything like that. Like I'm being dead ass honest with you. Like I have friends that coach football where people pay to play and they can fucking do this. And like you can run 4-4, but if you're going 4-4 the wrong direction, it don't make a shit. But this is like you guys are comboing this back, right? Let's cover one.
Yep.
It goes away from you with pass sets. You sit. You have this gap, by the way. So unless this thing goes here and then cuts back, you hang out for a second.
Oh, yeah. He takes himself so far out of position there, too. It's Julian Love, like you said, he's an outside leverage there. So thinks he's going to have that inside help with Jalen Smith underneath.
Yeah, and then, that's what he's supposed to. And then everybody bitches at this guy. Oh, he got beat. Exactly. I guess.
It was a dirty route by Evan Ingram. Got to give
a great route. But like when you're playing defense thinking you have help and you don't have help, that's where my problem with some of these companies that do like these grading. I want to know who they gave the -2 on that play. Anyway, I'm sorry. I feel like I hate bad defense, and I hate bad defense at this level. Number 20 screws the defense here, so we got a 7-yard gain on stretch. So the first thing you got to think of, okay, stretch out of the gun sucks. The only reason that you run stretch or wide zone out of the gun is so you can do this, right? If you're really trying to run wide zone, you got to get here. You're going to do this out of the pistol or out of under center. So you've got nickel defense, 1st and 10 from the 36. The offense is an 11 personnel. You're going to cover one here. So now it's nickel. So you're going to put him on the back with a combo with this guy. The ends here. Somebody's got to take this tight end. Somebody's got to take this wing. Or this, I'm guessing, with Zay Jones being there, it's the corners in there.
Yeah, Dory is out there.
Okay. This guy's way too fast on everything. Okay.
Yep.
One of the problems the Giants have is they're playing, if this makes sense, try to explain this, that where it doesn't go like out to a whole nother conversation, but they're playing linebacker fits like they're playing one coverage, but the coverage isn't supporting that. Meaning They're telling these guys, kill, go downhill, blast everything, but also you got to help on inside routes. Can't do that.
No. And that's why on these play fakes,
you have to play a certain way. And if you're playing quarters where you're saying, okay, there's a safety right here that's flat foot reading 17 and a corner right here that's flat foot reading number 7, you can pull the pin and go. But if this safety's like, all right, you're outside of 2 and you have help inside and your inside does and blows downhill, that shit's going to be open. All right. So you may be outside in coverage, but if you don't get inside this right here, there's your gap. So 54 buries himself in the A gap. He's tempo in the back. He's supposed to. They collect his ass. 20 gets blocked outside. 1 cuts it up. Don't know why he keeps cutting it out. Just right there. Go. I think the Giants got a little lucky in this game by some bad running too. There's a couple plays where it's like, my God. The other thing that's weird about Etienne is like these are plays he ran at Clemson. They're a wide gun stretch team.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Cut back all you want. Like so here's the thing, and this is what I noticed about the Jaguars run game. Their pack paths aren't mirroring up with their blocking. So if you're running wide, I don't know, it looks like it's wide zone to me. You want to hug this double team and hit it right here. If you're running inside zone, the zone cut play, where they dig out, he goes up here, he slams down, and you want to hug this and go out here, that's fine. But don't go this on outside. You can't wind outside zone back all the way like this. Unless, I mean, look at your vision. The 2 players that can make the play if this guy buries himself is this guy. He's outside. When you're going to cut back, just run right down. Or you could even press this and then bounce out here, / running. Now, the linebacker here does a better job. He's using his hands. He's got his eye inside. But see, that's how you play these guys, is you can make plays on this. The 54 had his blocked him with his elbows, or trying to defeat block with his elbows. That was a huge game.
Yeah.
All right. Zone cut, better fit by 54. So we got 2nd and 3 from the 29-11 personnel in the offense. Nichols in defense. 54 plays this better.
You mean 54? Okay, Jalen Smith. Yeah.
You get the same formation. The same. Okay, remember this is the play I said, the zone cut play, right?
Yep.
So you can see he's more patient. You can see 40. Now he ducks his head. He does what I said not to do. 48. Sorry. He plays. He's giving himself up. But 54 rope-a-dopes it, meaning he's going to step here to try to get them to combo and then roll back. They do some. I mean, they do the same shit. They play outside leverage. So you're giving someone the C gap and the A gap. Not great. This is why when we used to play this shit all the time, we would run, we call it Setchy aim, where we would line the 3 up to the back and slant this to cut the play off, and then he knew he could walk back. He wouldn't have to play this A gap, because otherwise you're screwed.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You can see how Smith is dialed in here, too.
He's kind of spastic. He does a great job. It's just he's like a squirrel. What? Where's the ball? Can't find it.
Spastic Smith. I love it.
Right there, man. Relax. Remain calm. All right. My notes for this player, ... what question mark. So I doubt I know what's coming here. Nickel 3rd and 2, 26-yard line, 11 personnel from the offense. My next comment is just dumb. Can't wait to see what it is. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I'm not Doug Peterson or anything, but these runs make me so freaking nervous.
He gets slammed there.
Why?
That's a 350-pound guy right there. Dexter
97 had a hell of a game, too.
He's a great player. Not the best cut block right there, but just keeps him off, and he's
still a nose tackle making that play.
I've been saying it for years. I know the stats didn't bear it out and the Giants sucked, but right when the Giants drafted this guy in 2019, he was different just from an athletic standpoint. I'm glad he's finally kind of getting the notoriety that I believe he deserves.
So remember that jet sweep play we talked about early on where I felt like Tibbs came up the field or crunched inside and got nailed? See, this edge set right here is much better.
By Jihad Ward, 55?
Just both guys, 55. And see how he's playing into the tight end?
Oh, yeah.
Like if you're going to blitz inside, I mean, football is a simple game made complicated by people like me. If you're going to blitz someone inside, you have to set an edge so it runs back, so it cuts back to the blitzer. Or into the slanting lineman, right? Of course, you don't want to move your defense going this way and then be like, oh, bullshit, I'm going to come inside. And then I just circle the defense. Great job. All right. This is just dumb. Wait, this is not the play? Oh, this isn't the play.
This is the 4th and 1.
This is not the play. They got this one. All right, 12 personnel, 4th and 1 from the 27 base defense. I think I found the issue with the music. That's just a good throw, good catch, good design play, get Zay Jones out in space, get the first down, move on. I mean, it's a 2-yard gain for the offense, which normally would be a attaboy from the defense, but they only needed a
yard.
They only needed a yard. So here we go. 1st and 10 from the 25. The offense is now 11 personnel. The defense is in nickel. This is a good play and a pain in the ass versus Palms, this route right here. They're playing 2 read, where the corner's reading 2. If 2 goes out, I'm going to play to the flat. Safety's going to go over the top. The problem is when they stall release like this, what has to happen is this guy has to own this shit and undercut it. And that's hard. And you see what happens because he can't go right now, right? Because they're both reading this guy. They're both reading that guy.
Of course.
If he stutters and goes vertical, this guy has to stay on it. And if you jump here, touchdown. So you have to put the play on this guy, but if you overplay outside, that's when they hit you with the stick nod or whatever, or the option route back in.
Whip route.
Yeah, the whip route. I call it so many things. The other play that's really good versus this is stick nod. So you run the go, you do this shit where you go out, the corner starts to break, the safety starts to go over the top, and then you put it right there. I'm surprised we didn't see it later in the game. Yeah,
I was going to say, that is an excellent way to take advantage of that coverage.
2nd and 5 from the 20-21 personnel, and the Giants are nickel. So they must think it's a pass, but it's not. Wait, 21 personnel. Oh, it's 21T, so it's not. It's 21 with 2 tailbacks. I think I found the issues with the song. The songs from StreamYard are at a much lower volume. So then you turn it up, and then they're gone when those come on. We got too many people inside here. They hit the edge, out the gate. 6-yard gain. Not a huge problem, but you can see box to box. I mean, you've got too many people tackle to tackle. And this guy comes inside.
And they just attack laterally, something the Giants were struggling with.
I mean, it's a 6-yard game. It's not the end of the world, but, you know.
Yeah.
All right. 1st and 10 from the 14. We're entering the low red zone here pretty soon. Nickel defense. My comments are correct read, bad play. I don't know if that meant like bad play by the defense. Okay. Yeah. So this is the mesh rail concept that everybody's running, where they get the back, right? Everybody's seen that. This is your first read. So the problem is they get his ass. They get them to run into each other without even touching him. That's like a double plus. But Jalen spins out, uses his athleticism, gives himself a chance. The ball's just thrown too far out there. If that ball's placed, they may catch that. But at least on this, you're forcing the offense to make an accurate throw, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is not easy. It's rather than like stand here and turn around and while your defender's running down the field, right?
Exactly. And to Jalen's credit too, just kind of fighting through the traffic to put himself somewhat back in phase and to force Trevor Lawrence to put a dime out there to James Robinson, who is no longer on the team right now.
And they get lucky because he's pushing out to cover this. They get picked, and he's kind of open, right? For a split second. So that makes Trevor think, all right, I'm going to throw this ball there. I mean, look at him. It's a collision. I think had Jalen fought through this more, it would have been a touchdown because he would have come off of it and seen this guy come wide open.
Yeah, Zay Jones was going to be open running that play because Fabian Moreau took the worst of the contact by Jalen Smith.
And Ingram was definitely going to be open.
Yep.
So actually, what's funny is him stumbling and then getting back in there actually gave them a chance to. Because like I said, if Smith fights through this with no problem, he's off this and he's looking for the next crossers. He's most likely going to see Ingram dot that and score a touchdown. It's just funny how shit works out.
I'm wondering if Julian Love could have done anything from the center field spot if Trevor Lawrence were to peer in that direction on the opposite side of the field. But it doesn't seem like it because he's already outside the hash. So I think the Giants would have just been screwed there.
I think he throws this on a road. This guy maybe he doesn't make a play, but it's a first down. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
You just fall down and crawl and probably would have got the first down. All right. So next play, we got 2nd and 10, 12 personnel in base defense, another pass. We got 3-by-1, tight end on the backside, tight end out. The second tight end it's so funny in the NFL, like that's a tight end.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of a body difference is there between him and some of the big receivers?
Giant fans know it well.
I thought this was going to get called. This is good technique from the safety here. Forces him to run into him. I mean, I don't think that's interference because he stops and yeah, he grabs him, but if he doesn't put his hands up, he gets run over.
I was going to ask you about this just because I know there were some people saying that it might have been a penalty, but isn't Julian Love entitled to the space there just as much as Evan Ingram is?
100%.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Now, I'm no Mike Pereira or anything, but
that's a good no call in there. I feel like there were a couple dubious calls throughout this game on both sides too, so I'm glad that one wasn't flagged.
Because if you think about pass interference on the underthrown deep ball, it's kind of the same thing, right? I'm stopping, but he's looking at the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, on the contact, yeah, I don't think that. But I'm also a DB guy, so I'm always going to say that. So take that for what it's worth. Just being honest.
Now we get Landon Collins' first play is the 3rd and 10. Welcome back tour for Landon Collins, former Pro Bowler.
Screen and go.
Yeah, and Landon Collins is the one who makes the tackle too, so it's a nice first play back in blue.
Why do I have screen and go here? That must have been it auto-filled. Nice little play design. They're in man this time, which mitigates, or they're in brackets. So I have him man-to-man. I have him man-to-man. I have him man-to-man outside. I have him man-to-man. These guys are playing quarters. So he disappears outside. I'm now going to double this guy. You see this a lot in the red zone from teams that don't even run this in the open field. This is one of my favorite coverages. I don't know why more NFL teams don't run this.
Okay. So the outside receiver goes inside. Adoree Jackson is going to have the safety help if that number 2 goes out.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
If the number 1 receiver goes inside like he does, you have the play side safety over there to help Adoree Jackson out.
Oh, you're talking about on this side?
No, I'm talking about on the Julian Love side at the top of the screen.
So if they do this?
I was talking about the number 1 going inside, kind of like what he ended up doing on the play.
Number 1, this number 1 receiver?
Yep. And then if the number 2 goes out, just like it's played, if the number 1 goes inside on a post, you have a double team on him. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. Watch how it fits.
Yeah, and he's kind of coming down right there.
Yep. And if this would have been a pass right there and they would have banged this in, he might pick this off.
He might. But would Trevor Lawrence even want to throw that football with Adoree Jackson playing inside leverage there?
Maybe not, but if he thinks this guy, because he can't, he's facing the sideline, so he might take that bet there.
Yeah.
This is where leverage doesn't matter as much because he's facing, his belly button's facing this way. He's not in a good position right now. Now, if he was to snap off this, it depends. If it's a post, then no. If it's a dig, then hell yeah, in my opinion. But what do I know? When it comes to QB play, I don't know. And what these guys, also the level of risk they're able to tolerate at the NFL level versus other levels is pretty insane. All right, next play. 1st and 10 from the negative and 19. Defenses in nickel, offenses in 11. I'm going to pick up the pace here a little bit because we're 80 minutes in, and I've gotten to 19 plays, which is on brand. All right, so I have here great throw, have to get pressure. If you're bringing 5 people down the field, you can't have that much time to throw. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's one heck of a pocket right there.
I mean, he could sit back there and smoke a pack of cools. He triple clutches and gets the ball out. I mean, decent coverage. Now granted, it was decent coverage, but also on these deep play action shots, you gotta do something here. Also, this guy shows that he can't blitz with shit. He blitzes like it's freeze tag. So he'll blitz and get hit, and you've seen these guys run down the middle of people all the time. Yeah, it's a hold. It should be a hold, whatever. But come on, man.
Yeah, but
I mean, this is just dog shit, right? Bring someone off the edge then. Don't keep bringing this guy. Anyway.
Like I said, in this game, man, you didn't see as much of manipulating the protection package of Jacksonville's offensive line like you saw in previous games.
I was waiting for it.
Didn't happen. Really didn't happen.
All right.
Much.
Let's go back to what I said earlier. Now it's 3D. So now you really have to be here. This is how you play cover 3 in the age of the RPO. You get this, you're a pass first player reacting to the run in the gun.
Takes himself right out of the throwing window.
I don't have 10 out of 10 no notes. I don't know. It's just not good.
Yeah, he's definitely not having.
You either have to play this tighter. I mean, so you might say, well, what are the options here? Okay. One is this guy has to play more flat and undercut these things. 2, this guy's got to keep himself out of it. So putting the 3 technique away from the back, which now gives him a B gap. So now this takes away the cutback lane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. This is not good though. He should be. I like the turn and the head whip though. Watch this with his hands. He goes, oh shit! He snaps his head down. I mean, that's. And all Doug Peterson's now is just trolling his ass. Anyway,
not gonna have a good time in the film room.
Oh, dude, I would not want to be in there.
No.
1st and 10 from the 15, so they actually get out of jail there because there's a penalty. I think it was illegal use of hands. 1st and 10, negative 27, 11 personnel. The defense is in nickel. Already, I'm like, why are you lined up like this? Why? What's happening right now? Why is Jalen Smith out here? That's why.
Play by Tay Crowder to get a PBU here.
He could have had that. Great play. Great play by Georgia's finest here. I forgot that Tay Crowder.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Irrelevant.
You see his patience when reading the line?
Yeah.
This guy read the line at Georgia. I have a sneaking feeling at Notre Dame he read the backs. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought there was a play action fake. I'm sorry. Never mind. Ignore me. I thought it was a run fake. Ignore me. All right, so we got 2nd and 15 from the 27. Nickel personnel, 11 personnel from the offense. We got a pass here. Brings Zay across. So same formation as earlier. Token play action to get everybody to drop. Deliver the screen. 14 free yards. They had him by the ass because every time they were in cover one and those guys stood there. Well, no, that's not true. No, that was zone. When they were in zone, they had the perfect play on. When they were in zone and bailing out of there, they would hit the running back on the screen. And when they would sit down, they'd throw something behind them. It was just a curse the whole game.
Seemed like a well-timed call right here because the Giants bring pressure.
Oh, another Jalen Smith. Watch this blitz. First of all, when you're shorter than the guy you're going against, you don't swim them. He exposes his chest.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, this is cruel, but he's so bad as a rusher that he almost screws up the screen because this guy can't get out because he's like trying to like grab. It's just strange. Poor 29. Look at this. This is the last thing you see on earth.
Going back to week 3.
He's job of getting himself out of it.
Xavier McKinney's a baller, man. That happened like several times against Dallas, where it was Tyron.
That's the Bama kid, right?
Yes, 2nd round pick back in 2020.
Yeah, I should know this since I talk about them all and go there and visit all the time. All right, for 3rd and 1, this is a great play by the offense. Great design. So now the Giants are bringing 6 people or 5 people playing some sort of zero blitz. Like, I don't know what Jalen Smith's supposed to be doing. I don't know if this is double edge, but I just don't know what he's doing.
Let's see.
Get the ball outside in space. First down.
This is confirmed right at the snap, too. I mean, Darnay Holmes is following him. And then look at the snap. He's just easy money right there.
So dirty. That is so dirty. Hold on. I'm checking the comments here. Crazy one. Hander. All right. So we got 1st and 10 from the negative 49-yard line. We got 3-0. Unbalanced alert. The Giants are in big nickel. Okay. So I'm not the smartest guy in the world. Okay, well, let's start with the positive, okay? I slide the front over. It's unbalanced. They were in sweep. Lawrence just bitch slaps the play, sheds the block, makes the tackle. Outstanding job. This is what I'm talking about with the Sam linebacker. Okay? You have a young, supposedly elite pass rusher. I haven't seen it yet. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying I have not. I think there was a game where they played the Cowboys where he had some rushes. One of the games
that was his first game, the Dallas game with the Giants.
Maybe it wasn't that. I saw a couple flashes, but don't put him to an unbalanced. Like, get him over here. I don't understand. Like, he's not good at this stuff. I mean, yeah, he gets rid of the guy, but the play's broken down. Just, I don't know. Great job by the interior line. Awesome stuff. Here we have great coverage. 1st and 25, so there's a penalty there. Negative 34-yard line. The offense is 12 personnel. The defense is in base. They actually trade to it, and he goes over. Like, I don't understand this. I'm not trying to question the infinite wisdom of Wink Martindale, but I am. I mean, it's just I don't get it. We got a blitz here. Deep out route. Great job.
Yeah, Dory does a really good job here. He's a very good cornerback for the New York Giants. As long as he stays healthy, he's been playing very well for them.
So he went to. So I talked about Thibodeau at J. Sarah down in Southern Cal. Adoree went to Sarah Gardenia, and we used to get recruiting mail from him, even though we were near San Francisco. I'm like, guys, you like this kid so much, and you think he's so great. Like, why are you sending? You don't even know what school to send it to him. Like, this is what I'm talking about. So this is supposed to be a weak side rush. Sam dropping. Why are you doing that? I don't understand. I know that 55. Maybe it's because they don't have another outside backer, so they're really playing with 4 guys, like 4 D linemen, and he's the closest thing that they have. So he's the only guy that can drop, but I don't understand why you wouldn't get him on the edge and just bring him.
They've been using Jihad Ward on the edge almost exclusively. I know he's like 290 pounds. He's very physical out there. Even when they have like Aziz Ojolari back and they still have Timon Fox, who plays a solid chunk of snaps for them, they'll still use Ward out there on the edge.
Then why not put him at the point of the attack to run the ball?
I don't know. I don't want to say they usually do because it's not always consistent, but they have in the past, and he's been a pretty good force defender out there. He's hard to move off the edge. He's 290 pounds. A tight end against him is not good for the offense, but I'm not really 100% certain why.
So strange. All right, good play by the offense. 2nd and 25 from the negative 34-yard line. The Giants are in super sub personnel, so two linemen, 2 linebackers, 7 DBs. So you're starting to get in the funky packages. So I'm like, all right. So I saw this before I saw the play. I saw 2-2-7, and I'm thinking, all right, we're gonna get some fun because Wink's the best.
No, not here.
And then
Giants used a lot. They lead the league, I believe, in these quarter type of packages, like no true inside linebackers on the field. Like if they could have it their way, they would have Dane Belton and now Landon Collins and Tony Jefferson when he was healthy out there playing these lighter personnel packages.
This is Zay Jones.
Yeah.
I'll say this about the Jags. They are masterful at these pick plays and not really picking anyone. Like that one where Ingram got open and they had them colliding into each other. Like, watch this. This is so phenomenal. The technique there to get in the way like this, and then give up contact at the last second. So not only do you pick the guy, you make him fall over, and it looks like it's on his own accord. It looks like it's the turf monster.
It looks like it's a turf monster, and it could also just be Darnay Holmes expecting contact there, but Zay Jones does a really good job evading it. That's just big separation. Christian Kirk.
Great play. All right, next play, 1st and 10 from the 17. Offense and 11 personnel, defense is in nickel. Another snap of cover 1. This is a bad throw here. The Giants get kind of lucky, I think.
Here we go. Yeah.
Oh, come on!
You gotta put that towards that back pylon or something, man. This was a really rough one from Trevor. This is probably his worst miss of the game. Oof.
That is just
touchdown.
Also, this is where 3 deep helps you. Except like unlike cover 1, is if you get 2 edges like this, because basically you're in a 3 back. I mean, it's really 2 backs, but you're in an alignment where everything's condensed. This is where you can keep him high and bring him down on this and let him replace, or send him to the safety and then you kind of feather off and look for the crossers. This is where you get that advantage. And because the Giants are so downhill, that old school play action really hurts them. The backers are sucked up. Balls behind them. Like if you watch certain defenses, especially in college, like Bama, and how they fit things, because their run fits goes into how they play their pass coverage. You'll see these downhill looks, and the linebackers are able to sit back because they're not attacking downhill as hard because of how they play their defensive line. And that like changes everything. And that's what I was talking about before, where like if you're going to run downhill with these guys, you need to have a 3rd level mechanism to handle this play, right? Because otherwise you can't play it. And Zay, again, watch Zay here. He just slips him. He's just very good. He's very smart with his body. I was like, wow.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so we have nickel defense. 2nd and 10 for the 17-11 personnel. Terrible defense, great finish.
Yeah, lucky for have Xavier McKinney punch this out.
This play irritated me more than anything. And again, this is where people talk about the process. And I know that shit's been just fucking beaten to death. And you love turnovers. I don't like turnovers because it sounds like they're giving you something. Take that son of a bitch away. But this is the shit that drives me insane. Because they get the fumble, force the fumble, it's great. But also, like, This is like this is like freshman football shit. Okay? This is zone read 101. If you're going to sit your end, this guy has to play heavy downhill and take out the seam, so it has to wind back to the end, right?
Yeah.
Or get tight here and I know you don't want to do this in the NFL, but get friction on this tackle so he can't just get a clean release. And then I don't know, I would think about scrape exchanging this. You have Etienne to carry the ball or this dork. Okay, I shouldn't say that, but like he doesn't scare me on zone read. So get 55's ass here down, get in tight here, and when he tries to climb up to the next level, bust his ass down, make him pull the ball, run around, and it's Crowder and Lawrence one-on-one with a safety in the alley.
And that's something that the Giants have done quite a bit this year. They were doing it against the Ravens last week, Lamar Jackson, specifically in the second half. They would do the same exact formation with Jalen Smith as the linebacker, and they would take Jihad Ward, and he would crash so hard. Now, those were power because they run a lot of power backside pullers, and he crashed so hard once they were gashed by the run for the first 2.5 quarters of the game. But they adjusted well late in the third quarter.
Watch it, Crowder here. Chicken shit. I'm sorry. You can't play football like this. Like if this guy can't,
no, I know
you can't do this. So when shit like this drives me insane. Like this is like 2007 high school option defense. What I'm watching right now, like when nobody knew how to defend the play. Like, yeah, he runs a 4.6, but also you get to take free shots on a quarterback. Like, okay. I get a free shot on their starting quarterback because he's decided to not be a quarterback and he's going to run the ball.
Take that.
So you got this guy who's doing that. I mean, he might have scored if he hits right off this right here. He may even have gone, but he went inside. He hesitated. This is what I'm talking about bad vision. His shoulders turn. He can't get back outside. There's a safety right here. Stick your foot in the ground and go here. Slash running. There's help in here. You've split the defense in half. Right here. Running this lane. And I'm not, again, I want to be very clear about this. I'm not asking for superhuman bullshit. I'm saying like basic zone running.
Yeah.
Like that I have personally taught very, very average high school football players. And I'm not a running back. Like I'm no fucking genius or guru. I'm just a guy with a clicker and some time on his hands. Like if I can see this shit, how is this not like? It's insane.
100%. And him going inside, ultimately, you can see the contact from Jalen Smith right there.
He coughs it up.
Exactly. Like Jalen Smith gets a hold of gets that first hit on the football, and then I think allows Xavier McKinney to finish it off.
All right, 2 minutes. I'm going to go fast. Here we go. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be 2-2-7 and 1-2-8 personnel, 11 personnel in the offense. 1st and 10 from the 25. DB gets inside leverage, which he should not be. He should be outside leverage. If it's cover one, you should be outside, and you should have help in here. He gets inside. Again, bad fundamental defense. They run a whip. Same thing with him. They both screw this up. So he gives up the whip. He gives out the out. Throw the deep ball. Nice throw, decent throw, good catch, get down, move the chains. They run a fun little simulated blitz here. First thing I've seen where I'm like, okay.
Yeah, seriously.
Nothing too crazy. I mean, they did bring the corner once. Nothing too crazy. They bring the nickel, play cover 3. I mean, this isn't tale as old as time, but they come down on the bubble screen or the screen here. Get 7 yards, watch the end zone of that. So something gives it away because there's population over here. So here's what I don't understand about this. I understand he has to drop this way, but Trevor spots it and they're pointing. There's nothing that should tell you 21 should be over here if you're going to design this. If you're trying to get them to slide this way, Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get them into a full slide or a 3-2 slide, and then he rips him inside. He rips off the edge, and then the nickel has the back. But I mean, I realize it's a screen. So, but they know it's coming. Oh no, maybe that's part of the screen. But I thought he was flipping something over there. So I'm wrong there. But you can see with the pass pro, again, on that play, I'm wrong. But you'll see that same shit like I told you about how Jalen Smith was playing. You're going to see this show up later. So sometimes, and this is what's hard as a football coach, is you're on the sideline and you're being like, yo, you need to move over here because we are trying to bring pressure from this side and you're on the wrong side. Or it's a bad design, or it's on wing. And they look at you and go, Coach, they just threw a screen for 7 yards. Like, who cares? It's like, because if we do this again and you don't fix this, it's going to be a problem.
Exactly.
So you'll see it happen later. All right, here's my favorite part of the game. 3 one-man rushes. This is fantastic. Lawrence is like, holy shit, what do I do? Throws it out of bounds.
Doesn't he have that deep post? Like, not, I mean, like the corner is in okay coverage, but I don't think there's another player back there because the safety doesn't really gain any depth. I'm trying to see.
Yeah, I don't know what his reads are here because it's dry. It's drive. So this was normally an alert. I mean, I guess it takes him a while to get out of it. I think maybe that he's running down the field. No, yeah, you're right. I mean, if he resets his feet, I mean, the guy's in a good position. So, but I mean, maybe he didn't want to take a chance there. I'm not sure. Let's look at the time situation too. There's 17 seconds left. They have no timeouts. So my only thought there is that if they chuck the ball down the field, and he gets tackled like the 5-yard line, will we have enough time? Get everybody up there, spike the ball. Yeah. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know.
It's just something that I noticed, and I was like, why
not? Yeah, no, totally. So they go prevent here, 3rd and 3. They got no timeouts, so you're going to see him guarding the sidelines. So go ahead and throw the ball right here. Time is more of an issue than yards.
Oh, Tamon Fox. Oof.
Oh, this is awesome.
This kid is an undrafted UNC player who played. He was like Van Wilder. He played like 6 seasons at UNC, and he had like over 150 pressures there.
He's like Van Wilder.
He really was, but he is physical, and this coaching staff loves him, even though he's so physical. He's an interesting player.
God damn. All right, we get the Hail Mary on 4th down.
Did you check this throw out, by the way? Like he puts like this throw is actually pretty ridiculous. This is actually catchable. Now the receiver, I think his foot is out of bounds, but the fact that no defender got their hands on it, if you pause it right here, it hits the receiver right on the back line. Like the trajectory there to me is really impressive.
Does he have both feet in?
I think the 1 foot would have been out of bounds, but either way.
Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah. You think that was by design?
I'm not sure, but that's crazy that he was able to put that much touch and trajectory over the top of everybody and then at least give his receiver a chance. And the Giants have been burned by plays like that in the past. Think back to the 2016 wildcard game against Green Bay with Randall Cobb, which was a push-off that wasn't called, but I digress.
Not that you're mad or anything. All right, first snap of the second half. 1st and 10 from the 27-yard line, 11 personnel. I know I've been saying this, but I'm really going to go fast here. They go back to cover 3. Bad fundamentals lead to a 49-yard game.
I hate this play.
Pitch. The force player gives up the edge. He turns it down. Your job as a force player is not to make the tackle. Your job as the force player is to set the edge so this guy can. This guy goes inside. Ugly football plays happen outside deep. You hear me say it all the time. Out the gates. Now championship cut. You don't have an angle on anybody. Run as fast as you can, as many yards as you can. Fantastic run by Etienne, but really just and this is what drove me insane about this game. And I hope I don't feel like I wasted your time to be like, hey, this is like, I was so excited to do this game. I was looking for, and I think somebody in the comments was like, we need you the Giants. And I was like, it's coming soon. I was looking for any excuse to do them. And then I turned it on and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you should have watched the Green Bay game, and the Ravens game was also good, but the Giants were gashed pretty bad and were undisciplined against the run there too.
if he now they're pinned inside, but if he just stands there, let's not even like if he just does like a basketball where he like puts his hands and just draws a charge and stays outside, he's gonna cut that ball and get inside, and now nobody can make a play. One guy can make a play, overruns it. I need a coach 30 on this run. Not really an athlete. I pissed down my leg. Moment's too big for me. I love that guy. More fun zone read. This is when you can really just fuck with the team and really do whatever you want.
You have so much numbers there.
They keep trying.
No one's over the number 3. There's so much space.
It's badly designed defense. Like this is why when I watch the NFL, I go insane, because I hear about how this is the best. These are the brightest. How could you think college football is better than the NFL? How can I think college football is better than the NFL? I don't see many times where people just fucking give up a stick route with nobody. I mean, I'm so pissed. I'm on the StreamYard screen trying to draw on that instead of the huddle. We go back. I mean, come on, dude.
Easy pitch and catch.
3x1 RPO defense. If you're going to play one high safety, then you need to bring him over and bring him down. You need body presence over number 3. Or you walk him and apex him. And here's the thing that I don't understand. This guy did this at Georgia. How I know? Because I watched him get it installed. I watched him in practice. I know their defense. I'm really good friends with Glenn Schumann as their defense coordinator. Was his coach. I sat in meetings where Tay Crowder was in the meeting, in the linebacker room. They talked about shit like this. You would think he'd be like, hey man, now again, you don't want to question your coaches, but like this reminds me of like 2012 when like RPO started. Now I'm talking about downfield, not the bubble shit. Where they're gonna run zone read and throw a stick route, which by the way, this should probably be a legal man downfield, PS, but that's all right. But
it's a good job by KT though.
Here's the thing. If he just hands us off, this splits him in half. Look again. Because he's outside. So remember the play we just talked about where Crowder was getting eaten up? Look, that happens again. If he hands us again, the Giants' ineptitude on defense helps them make play. Because they don't put anybody there. And I doubt they designed this. Like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to leave the guy uncovered and fake them into throwing a stick route, and then Kayvon, you're going to jump up and bat it down. Great plan. So this is what drives me insane. What's crazy to me is they don't line up to the RPO to get more guys in the box, and then they don't even fucking defend the run.
Which is the craziest part, right? Because that would be the only excuse to have Tay Crowder that close, is if he had to fit the run.
Get your ass in a G technique. Stop playing fucking shade. Because now I can really dump up and just get him too while I'm at it. Anyway, you're this wide, rope-a-dope, right? No, we're going to do this. I mean, if he hands his ball, it splits him. He's in the open field. Crowder does a better job. See how he rope-a-dopes it now?
Yeah.
But, okay, fine. Then he runs right there. I mean, like, you're not playing in concert. You got one guy doing I don't know what, and then another guy being like, oh, I'm going to sneak inside, go outside for the quarterback. Well, you didn't go outside because this guy's standing there, so he's going to hand the ball off, and then Etienne's going to hug this double, and it's going to be out the gate. It's like you want a full box, then play it. Like nothing's connected. It's just like everybody just line up and we're going to go play football. That doesn't fucking work when you're going against Doug Peterson. Like this is what and they win the game, and that's what's like. I would be alerting a 5-alarm fire if I'm in that building right now, being like, guys, and this is the hard part when you have immature players. It's like, well, we just won, and it's like, well, yeah, but look at what happened. I mean,
I have faith in this coaching staff to really drill that point home, and that's something that I absolutely love about them. But I'm nervous, Coach, about going up to Seattle with the rushing attack that they have and Kenneth Walker. If they're this undisciplined, it's not gonna go well for them.
I mean, look, they're trying to play man. Nobody's covering guys. All right, let's show counter again. You got Wildcat. Not even going to bother with the wide copy. All right, what do we talk about? They're not even lined up correct. I mean, they're not even getting lined up. You're going to sit the end, which stops him from handing it off because he's reading this guy, right, for the sweep.
Yeah.
So he sits. You need somebody outside the first puller, inside the second puller, outside the second puller. No, he spills it. So, again, you can play it like this. So if you're going to spill it, which in cover one is scary, this should be a box defense because you want to put – these guys should be in the box, distributed like this, and then you're turning it back inside. So he spills it where everybody's in here. So already, again, when I'm talking about not being in sync. So he's trying to knock the ball out. Let's watch the wide copy. To no one. There is no one out there. They're looking at each other like, who do you have? And by the way, this is cover one. The second easiest football coverage to line up besides two-man. You got him. Okay, I got him. They're not even looking at the ball. The ball snapped. You have an end spilling the ball to three people standing inside. Now he gets back outside, but if he takes this around the edge, he pushes him out. This guy comes around, seals one of these guys, and it's out. So he decides to split it instead. So if you're going to spill this, you have to spill it. So you try to take 2 for 1. He gets 1 for 1, so they run around it. Then here's what should happen. Somebody should go outside the second puller. Somebody should go inside the second puller. One of them is going to be unblocked. They both go outside the second puller. He cuts it back. Now, this is a really good run. Keep it skinny. Go straight ahead. Get as many yards as you can. I mean, again, there goes back to the counter rules. Like, can't play counter. And if you're a blitzing defense, if you're a box defense, if you're doing all this crazy blitzes and shit, which they haven't really done on rundowns, you better know how to fit these runs because they're hard.
Yeah, this is wild. Yeah,
as soon as you start getting in like bear fronts, which I'm surprised they didn't get any, you're going to get counter weak. You're going to get those sort of things.
Of course, yeah.
Here's just a wide zone play. 2nd and goal, or 2nd and 2 from the 3. This is a good play here by the defense. They set the edge. Great effort by 29 here. Fantastic job. They try to go fast. I mean, look at this. They're misaligned. Nobody can get lined up, which I don't know why you're sending them over there. You got 2 linemen here. You got the majority of the tight ends over here. I mean, this is luck, really. I mean, and this is the thing, because it's goal line, they have a lot of bodies there and they make the play, but like you don't even have down linemen lined up right. That's the type of stuff that just drives me nuts. 3rd and goal from the 2, 22 personnel. Giants are in base. Just a quick sneak. I like their mixed up tempos on I'll say on the motions.
So Doug,
much louder. I'm so pissed I'm forgetting about the music. All right, they run another sneak. I'll just go this real quick. They go sneak, touchdown, over the top. Crowder tries to get a shot on him. Good play. All right, now let's see some good defense.
About time.
Here's counter. Good fits, sound fits. Lawrence does an awesome job here. His stance is so weird. It's like out, hands inside, legs really wide instead of being like underneath him. I mean, he's great. I mean, again, stance matters for shit. I mean, he's obviously, he does an awesome job.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter at that level. But just, it's funny to me to watch. I mean, this is just great.
He's just so strong and long, and he uses it so well. That's Brennan Sheriff right there. Like, that's no slouch. That's a 5-time Pro Bowler. With
one hand. Arm over, goes back. That's freaking awesome.
Presenting himself in multiple gaps right there. It's a very impressive play.
55 needs to stay square here on the edge. So you can see right on this play, he's right here. He turns his shoulders. Remember what I talked about earlier about being able to bounce out and get off blocks?
Yep.
You're going to play the edge like that, responsible for the edge, you get off and stay square.
Of course.
See it better from the end zone. Now he may get help a little bit there. We'll just see it right here. He's good here, but he turns himself. He should be square with trying to one arm it, get low, get square, move your feet, and it's the little things. See how these guys are all turned?
Yeah.
Watch Lawrence versus these guys. When you're turned like this, you have no power. Now this guy's able to get back outside, but not really. I mean, 99. If these guys are square, the ball never goes out there. So if 99 and 55 are square and they're playing with one hand like Lawrence does, like watch Lawrence. See how he's able to stay square? And he's in a position where he can run his feet, and then if the ball cuts back, he can arm over like he did the previous play, where he literally does this.
Yeah.
He makes play. But you can't when you're turned. Good pursue, but I mean, Etienne is just
he's explosive. Good. He's an explosive.
1-3-7 personnel.
Oh, nice.
Good coverage, not a great throw. We got palms here, 3rd and 4, 11 personnel. Jags come out in a condensed formation. Good coverage. So on this, you want to take away the low throw, then play to the high throw. Make him bait him into throwing this. You vice this, and you get it. I know you can't really say that. Well, I'm gonna say kill shot. We're on YouTube. Who gives a shit? I'm not like advising a player, but you get a kill shot there. All right, here's my favorite song of the night. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
This is good. This times up with the good defense. Why I like under versus wing twins. We'll get into that in a second. Is it not playing? You have no music?
Yeah, I hear the music.
Yeah. Good fits. Good job by Kayvon this time. We got pin pull, I believe. Yep. Under makes this hard. Under with the G technique right here makes this play hard. Because he has to come down, or you have to reach this play side. And now they're down blocking Lawrence. That's not Lawrence, sorry. Who's 71?
Justin Ellis, former Raven.
They're able to pin back into this stuff. You got a good edge here. So even if he comes down, what you want to try to do here is you want to try to secure this gap and then get 48.
Yeah.
But he blocks, like go get his ass. I mean, you did nothing there. Kayvon boxes it. See how he's square?
Yep.
Not great. I mean, he gets held here. I mean, he's grabbing around the arms. That's cheating in football. But if that ball were to bounce and they weren't holding him, I guarantee you. Well, yeah, I'll go with the guarantee. I'll stand on the table on this one. If this ball were to bounce and he was being held like this and he threw his arms up, he'd get a flag.
Yeah.
Makes the ball go inside, and it's great. So I get this question a lot. If you're trying to defend pin and pull, this G technique here makes it hard because he's able to step into this guy. If the guard pulls, he's in a position where he can step in. If you're a shade right here, this guy's he has a better angle to cave you, and you're gonna be trying to go at the center, which is gonna make his life easier. If you're lined up at the G here and you're stepping into him and he goes out, you're automatically going to pad back to this guy and strike his ass, constricting the block. And now look at the center's having to try to go. They're trying to pull the center and guard. And the center's kind of held up. I mean, 71 gets a piece of the center. I don't necessarily think that's good. I think if you're going to run this, you should go against the under. You should do this. Because this is hairy. To try to pull both these guys with the G.
Yeah.
You'd really have to try to cut his ass because if he gets any penetration, it's over. I mean, they try to run play. I don't like it. But again, I'm not talking. I mean, again, I'm just giving my opinion. That doesn't mean it's right or wrong. Just I'm thoughts.
Of course.
Let's go. Club Seabass.
Gotta love it.
Great play design, corners to push us down one. Now we're reaching the 2-hour mark. I'm obviously going to go over on this because we slowed down for so many. I bitched so much, but I'll try to keep up. But if you got to go, man, I understand it's late. Corners got to stay on this or they have to pass this. It's fire zone 3. Problem is they drain out. The flat defender. He's got 2 vertical and out. He has to go with this wheel, which means he's going to have to take the next guy across. With all this stuff coming back, he's really screwed. He's got 2 guys, one going this way, one going that way. Most of the guys I know in fire zone coverage now, they would call it playing the dive route, which is like a shallow, and you'd have to play on this, or send him with it and have them play this. But there's nobody on this. It's easy throw, it's an easy catch, 14 yards.
This has become a trend in the game too, like these just wide open plays and these miscommunications. Is it like, what can you attribute that to exactly?
People knew the scheme, bad defense, or bad communication. That's Adoree Jackson, right?
22 is Adoree, yes.
I don't know if he's used to playing fire zone. One way or the other. He may have played every, or it doesn't mean they don't have different roles. Like Brandon Staley's fire zones are very different than most people. So I'm not invoking him because he played for him. I'm just saying, like, people, the systems I know, they can be very different. My comments here, this scares me. First and 10 from 37. Nickel cover one here. Pin pull with your franchise quarterback. He gets down, but Jesus, it scared me.
Man, bad things can happen when you run your quarterback. I mean, the Giants are having a lot of success, and Daniel Jones is not taking too many big hits, but we've seen in previous years Jones get absolutely annihilated and miss a bunch of games because of it.
Yeah, this is hard on Thibodeau, but he has to box. If you're playing cover one and your only backer is in here and you've got your safety playing the C gap, you now got to set this edge. 20 has to pull the trigger when he sees him block. The only fighting chance is you, but they have numbers. It's really hard to defend this play. To defend the QB run game, you really have to be in split safety coverage, where you're spilling and you're being an overlap with your deep guys. I know a very, very good elite Division I defensive coordinator. When we talk, he makes fun of me because I love quarters. He doesn't make fun of me, but he makes fun of quarters a lot. But you start getting QB run game, you don't say shit then, because in one high, you're short a guy. And it's math, right? So pre-snap, A, B, C, D gap, A, B. Okay.
I love the comment we got. Sorry, Coach. The comment we got from good old the quarterback school. We old as F. We old AF. Loves the quarterback runs.
JT, it's JT O'Sullivan. So JT, let me ask you. You got a $70 million quarterback. Whatever the hell he's wearing. Like, this is cool in high school. I fully support this, but do you support this with your franchise? Y'all sound old as me. Get the fuck out.
I love it. He's working for the Giants right now with Daniel Jones.
Yeah. I mean, okay, run him. Can I take your $8 million salary and coaching this team if he gets hurt? You willing to put $8 million on the line for that? He's gonna say yes. Just to prove a point.
Ask Fields.
Yeah. I don't know. Here's my only reply to that. I get what you're saying, but my reply to that is you've been gashing these fools without using this shit, without putting your franchise on the line. So I don't know. They're all tethered to their quarterbacks. Yeah, but putting your quarterback in harm's way versus like letting the nature take its courses, taking the dog out back and shooting it is different than, well, he died of natural causes. Anyway, it's all numbers. They pin here, they get him on the edge. He has to box the ball, but even still, I mean, there's an argument to say to spill this because you're short a guy, so you might as well get it off the edge. And hopefully one of these guys can beat one of these guys trying to pin you. But they're trying to pin you, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's called pin pull. So set the hard edge and try to beat these guys to the punch. Because now you got no one. They got a two-way go.
Something the Giants have struggled with, those outside pin pulls.
All right, we got mesh here first. So it was a hold, I believe. First and 10 from the 20-yard line. Mesh, the corner needs to rat on this. If you're going to run mesh, they're going to truly double rat this, which is really hard out of cover one. The corner's letting this guy go. He has to replace with a dig in here. So what should happen here is this guy should take this mesh this guy should take this mesh, and then they probably should pass off. Or you could have him be the rat and him take this mesh. They run into each other. Now it's incomplete, but do you see the problem I'm talking about?
Of
You have
course.
to have rules. Now this is, I will say this. I've given them a lot of shit for basics. Take this shit off my screen. I'm almost old. The problem is you have to have, so this is one of the hardest things to do, right? So you have to have some sort of rules when you get this of who's going to be the guy that's ultimately going to be the rat. So for me, I would say, pass the mesh between this guy, and then he's your rat. Or you could do it the opposite, where he takes this mesh, and then I'm the rat. But the answer isn't two guys chasing one guy getting caught up, and no rat. That makes sense.
No, it makes plenty of sense.
They forced the incompletion. I mean, look at 17. What play do you think they're running, guys? Jesus Christ!
Gross.
He's telling you. He's literally telling you.
Former New York Giant first-round pick giving the Giants defense a tip.
Yeah, I think we have a spy in the camp. I think that's the problem. All right, we got 2nd and 20. The end of the third. I don't have anything here. Pass, full personnel, nickel defense, cover 3, throws an out route.
Yeah.
Nice throw. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I think there's something to getting this guy out here. What's Ripple is, so that's hard. You're 1-on-1 on the outside and 3 deep.
Set up a 3rd and 8.
Okay, this is the pressure I have problem with. Okay. I'll just go to the end zone.
Yeah.
So technically, you have more people over here, right? You have, let's just talk threats. You have 1, 2, 3. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 threats. Now, this guy is a coverage guy, but he's close enough where he can get you. So technically, you could make the case for going this way, especially with the back here, right?
Yes.
But they're like, this guy's not very good at rushing. That's Tate Crowder, right?
Now that's Timon Fox.
Oh, that's the guy that did the. He's 49. I thought it was 48. Yep. He's the guy that did the kill shot on the sideline, right?
It is, yes.
All right. So you have now. Let's just take it from a personnel deal. It's Thibodeau, right?
Yes, I believe so. Unless there's a glare. Yeah, that's Thibodeau.
I'm just gonna say this. And I know it's like rush versus dropping, right? But what ends up happening is they turn the protection this way. They slide to him right where the blitzer's coming. They pick it up. Lawrence steps up, delivers the ball, catch. I know you don't want to drop Thibodeau, but if you're trying to design, you're mugging up to get a slide, get them to slide away from him or to him, put him over here and let him drop, and then let these two guys go. But they're able, because if they slide this way, so let's say they're sliding this way, right? I got to block him. I'm here. And then the back has, he's here. The back has here to here. Or no, I'm sorry. This slide would take him. I want to go back because I think they actually flipped the protection. I mean, they're looking over there. Ingram's pointing that way. Now, Ingram's in the rush, so that also enables them to do it. But they're able to do this because they're going back to Thibodeau. If they're going over here, I'm going to tell you this right now, they're not going to leave it like this. They're going to slide this way and just have the back in here, 7-man protection that way. Now, JT is the expert here. He may have a different view on this, but I think if you put just 5 over here, and this is what I don't understand. I mean, there's merit to bringing the pressure from Thibodeau's side. But if you're bringing on a nail path, which is what a million of those guys call that, all that family, Nolan and Ryan and whatever, you're right into it. They pick it up 20 yards. I mean, do you see what I'm talking about? The little stuff? Like, just have that guy over there versus the other guy changes it. God, I hate this chair. I'm getting in this chair.
And I feel like that's something, though, in previous games where where Wink has brought the pressure that actually ended up manipulating what the protection ended up actually being. I kind of like what you are saying, so it's just right there. It was picked up.
Cover one, awesome defense on the edge here. Why did it stop? Why is it stopping? Why is it stopping? Great coverage.
Nick McLeod.
He can't make the play.
Yeah, he had to step in because Adoree Jackson ended up exiting the game briefly. He ended up coming back later, but that's somebody that the Giants got off the Bills practice squad right there, number 44.
This is awareness, too. He's behind the line of scrimmage. So you're able to do that.
Darnay Holmes.
Heads up play. Smart play by that guy.
Darnay Holmes, California right there.
Yep. This is good because I like this because it lets Smith, who I know is not the best guy in the ball, it lets him do what he's good at. Use his speed, go cover a route out in the flat. You know what I mean?
Of course,
yeah. Leverage the flat. That's something that he's really good at. Now, obviously, you cannot design everything for that, but it puts you in a much better position than some of the stuff that I've seen him doing. And this is where they really come to life. This is the stretch of the game where they start hunkering down and playing better defense. And also, Jacksonville starts doing weird shit. They're in empty now. What's the score of the game? They're up in the fourth quarter. They're going in empty. And I thought the Giants did a decent job in empty. They get the first down here, but you're gonna see they're gonna choke this shit out pretty soon. Spoiler alert.
Yes, they do.
A little two-man. All right, we get better edge setting here. So now we get a pull. Looks like it's read option. Oh, stretch read. Oh my God, it just chokeslammed Thibodeau.
Yeah, Luke Fortner really just chokeslammed him. I'm pretty sure Thibodeau looks for a penalty here.
Still this confusion though.
Yes, I do. Yeah,
it's all you're here. Okay, you're here. They get lined up. The good thing is they leverage the ball better now. They get this. They're trying to pull. They're trying to run pin pull. The other thing is he's away from the attack. They have the unbalanced line here.
Thibodeau keeps that really tight.
Look at the edge now. I mean, yeah. Thibodeau does a better job. They actually choke slam him in where he almost sweeps the leg. Inadvertently does a leg sweep.
Yeah.
Tackle. Here's the problem. No communication here on this play. Okay. This is the X receiver. I'm guarding this guy. And he goes back. I'm running to the middle of the field and screaming at this guy. Screaming. And pointing. The whole thing on defense is if you don't point, you didn't make the call. Because I can't hear on film that you said something. But if you're running and pointing, you're probably not going to point without saying something. Right?
Yeah.
You kind of, you teach communication, you lump those together. Watch this. Oh, I'm going to just run over here now, and I'm going to go try and make a play. I mean, with something like this, spin his, replace, have some sort of, because that's what you would do on unbalanced, right?
Some sort of
lined up over here. You teach new communication. If you're an on-the-ball receiver goes running in the backfield, spin his ass down, start to climb, and look for reverses. Right now, you know there's not a reverse. Coming back, the corner does. Everybody's gone blocking. And you even get the wheel block, or I forget what they call this, but the wheel around block from the tight end. And it's not coming back. So send his ass down, reverse, and replace him.
And this ends up being a big play, even though there was that type of miscommunication, because this sets up the 3rd and 1, which ends up being a turnover on downs eventually. So Nick McLeod's hustle here, along with Julian Love being in position to make this tackle, might have been one of those critical plays that no one really talks about that ends up securing the Giants the victory.
And and that's the crazy part is he ends up making the play.
Game of inches, right?
But another bad. But here's the thing. Here's my thing. Another bad run by the Jaguars. You have the edge captured, So it's funny to see the back and forth with the incompetence. Like, okay, yeah, that guy goes and makes the play. The only reason he made, and this goes back to coaching up bad defense, is you say, awesome that you did that. However, if they don't screw up, you won't make that play. And having the maturity to be like, I just made a hero play that ends up winning us the game because they go for it on fourth down and we stop them and all this. But also the maturity, and that's part of growing as a player, to also be like, but I was still wrong. But if you're going to make a mistake, make it 100 miles an hour. What I like that he does is he just busts his ass and runs over there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. And it ends up being a huge play. And it kind of harkens back to a little bit of what I said earlier in the podcast. It's the Giants, even though on the defensive side of the football, they're sloppy here, they are making the Jaguars pay for some of their mishaps as well.
Watch him slow down. If he just runs, it's a touchdown.
Yeah. I think Xavier McKinney would get him, but it's a first down. I think McKinney gets him.
You think so? Oh, this safety, this back here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but I tell you what, he makes the tackle down here. He gets the first down. It's a new set of downs.
Easily, yes.
So that's the hard part when you're in these throne rooms and you're like, all right, you get a plus minus. The minus is you could have not had to make this play by getting, reverse, go. And maybe not everybody has that in their defense, but that seems to be like a pretty basic concept.
It does. I was going to ask that, though, too, because McKinney's at such a depth there. I'm wondering if that even is something that is in the playbook. It could be. Nick McLeod's a guy who typically does not play, and he's in there just because Adoree Jackson is out with a little injury.
You're right. I guess that when you're playing the odds and you're building the defense, now I'm being a hypocrite here because we played a lot of flip defense, where when we would get jet motions, we would flip over, but we were split safety, still defense. They're in one high. So their edge is captured, right? If you go back, they blocked down. They got the edge.
They got lead blockers coming too.
Tackle the corner. Now, the good news for you is it's space tackle, which I'm super fast. Not easy, but I'd rather have a space tackle with him than a linebacker. The problem is they get the blocker on that wheel block, or I don't know what it's called. He stops. Again, if he goes out here and makes the play, he has to turn it back, and we maybe have a better shot. But he makes a crazy play where he dives on the ground. You know what I mean? And it's an awesome play, but also holy shit, we shouldn't be in that situation. You know what I mean?
Of course. I mean, there's some fortune to it. You're right. Jacksonville, if they just made one slight adjustment on that rushing path, then the Giants probably surrender a first down, and that could have been the game right there. Because now we have this wildcat play where Quincy Roche played 2 snaps in this game. This is one of them right here. Former Pittsburgh Steeler.
Again, another bad play by the offense makes the play for the defense. The read here is this guy, right?
Yep.
His shoulders are turned, or he's down here. If he hands that ball, he ain't making that play. They get up on him, he's around the edge. I think. And I'm not trying to be overly critical. I'm just
No.
Look where 13 is.
Yeah, I'm wondering why Travis Etienne decided to keep it. I mean, there was a little bit of a stop by Quincy Roche. It's like he pinched towards the mesh point and then he stopped. Was that slight hesitation enough to make him feel like he should keep the football there? Because with 2 blockers in space against Fabian Moreau and one of the safeties, I don't know who that is, that's the obvious read. And Quincy Roche, I mean, he's an okay, backup type player, but he's not an elite athlete. Christian Kirk's going to outrun him to the edge.
Yeah. I mean, great play by 95, but also the reason that you read that guy so he can't make that play, right?
Yeah.
When his shoulders turn, I don't know, JT, if you're still in here, you handing that off? I mean, that's where, yeah, and you're right. I think it is decided pre-snap, which is why you don't make a pre-snap decision when you're not blocking a player. Now, in their defense, I'll say this, in the Jaguars' defense, now this is kind of the back and forth, right? They've been sitting all night. So he might have said, hey, we're going to pull it, they're going to sit. And then that's what happens. And then they change it up. But that's why you run the option, is so they're always wrong and you're not guessing. That's the whole reason you do it. If you're going to leave unblocked people at the point of attack, you better be right.
I'm also wondering if I'm trying to see where Travis Etienne's eyes are right here. The black helmets aren't really helping.
I think he's looking that way.
It does seem like that, even though Quincy Roche is that read defender. I'm wondering if Jalen Smith's pass
right there.
Yeah.
He's reading for him to pull it. So it's a 100% a predetermined play.
Yeah.
Again, but what you just said, luck. If Doug Peterson says hand the ball, I think that's a touchdown. You know what I mean? And he makes the wrong decision, and then decides to double down on this play. I don't understand. I'm with Rich Eisen here. It's a 4-point game. You've held the offense to 13 points. You have a chance to make it, at least give yourself some insurance. We haven't been moving the ball either. They haven't been moving the ball. It's been kind of I didn't watch the Giants offense, full disclosure, but it's been kind of a sloppy game. If the Jaguars offense versus the Giants defense is any indication, I'm guessing with only 13 points in the first 3 quarters, it wasn't a super smooth sailing day, right? Like,
yeah.
So just take the 7 points.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
You're such a huge momentum.
What drives me crazy is, like, you're super aggressive and you go for 2 your first touchdown to try to get that, to create that psychological edge. You get it. And then you have a chance, I know the sneak's been good for you, but you also got stopped on it down in the goal line. You only got a yard on the goal line, which I know all you need is a yard, but, like, kind of we're struggling down at the goal line. Like, is that any sort of, like, indication that maybe we shouldn't do this for our 3rd short yardage play in a row? I mean, and they're second guessing, right? They get the first down, they win the game. I'm not doing this. We're not here. Doug Peterson's a genius. I'm a loser. They liked how they were moving in the run. The problem is they weren't even really moving them in the run game. They were the Giants, and again, this goes back to like looking at numbers and looking at the game. You and I have watched every single snap. Have you seen the Jaguars moving the Giants much?
No, I saw Dallas moving the Giants a little bit in
week
3, but not here.
I see dumbass play by the linebackers. I see bad defensive designs. I see bad reads. Really, it's perimeter runs that have been bad vision that if they get, but they were taking themselves out of the play. So they're not, I mean, I guess you could say, look at it moving the ball differently than actually moving the Giants.
Now, to me, I didn't get the indication that Jacksonville was owning the point of attack or anything like that.
Linden said right here in the quote, now, I don't know if this is an exact quote, they were moving them in the run game, which tells me they think they were displacing them. I haven't seen it.
No.
I've seen bad edges. They haven't run a ball inside that either they didn't lose an edge or they didn't screw up on counter once. I haven't seen some like mow down one side and get the other. I haven't seen it.
And that's something that doesn't really happen to the Giants too often. When they lose in the run game, it's laterally because, like I said, when you have Leonard Williams healthy now and then Dexter Lawrence in the middle, it's definitely hard to move those guys.
I mean, also, like, this is not a winning proposition here for the whatever. They don't get it. He tries to go around the edge. They cave their ass.
They cave so hard.
There you go, Thibodeau. Jalen Smith surprisingly doesn't fall over his own feet. Hulk ties his ass.
This guy is taking direct hits, not even strays.
Oh. Look at Lawrence. Trying to stretch his ass out. All right, they stop him. We got a good blitz design here. 1st and 15, got a penalty. 1st and 15 next series. There's 5 minutes left. 11 personnel, nickel personnel on defense. I like this delayed blitz. They keep the back in this time instead of releasing him. And this is what happens with Wink Martindale. If you try to use your back too much, it's kind of a catch-22, right? This is an inverted variation, kind of, sort of is what is known as the So Linden said, I can go back and look at the quote, but that's what he was talking about. So he was saying they were not moving the ball, but moving the Giants. Yeah, I don't see that.
No.
But I'm also not paid $8 million or whatever a year to coach an NFL team. So what do I know at the end of the day, right? This is a problem. All right, so one of my favorite pressures, Dave Aranda made this thing. It's called Spike One Rat. they're going to run this. The backer to the back is going to blitz the B gap. If the back steps up the block, he adds. What ends up happening here is they slide to it. They kind of screw themselves here. They slide to the blitz. Well, actually, they don't screw themselves. They actually get lucky. They slide and bring the back to the same side, which is really strange that they did this. So he's supposed to add to the back. He recognizes, or no, does the guard come back? I'm sorry, the guard comes back, but still sliding the back that side. He realizes that where he's supposed to go gets clogged up. Because in normal protection, now we get to have some fun. Now I get to be positive. I get to put on my positive hat. Okay. Let's back up. How this should play out is this. It should be a 3-2 slide. All right. You're going to slide away from the running back. Back is up. Okay. And how this normally should play out is I go to the B gap. I'm the man side of the protection, so I step down. I kick out to Thibodeau. I step up. Jalen Smith comes and gets me. Then I add on, and that's how the pressure should work. That's how it's designed. But they slide and bring the back to the same side. He ends up supposed to be in the slide, but he comes back on the snap, so he works back that way. So instead of running around like he's supposed to, because remember, he is the running back. Technically, he has the running back. Now, the difference between this and Spike One Rat is one of these, this guy's actually supposed to have the running back, and he's supposed to go. So they end up, if he blocks, he can add on. But the path is the same. The idea is the same, right? He's blocking that side, but oh shit, there's 4 and 2. I'm going to find space. And he aborts and goes right up the middle. There's
a good adjustment.
It's a very good heady play right there. So that's where you can see they like their success on the ground. Okay, that makes a lot more sense, Lyndon. He said I went back on the course phrase the way that Doug said they like their success on the ground. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because him saying they moved them, I was like, where? Yeah, they moved the linebackers because they blitzed with their head down. But that's reality versus design. All right, we got 2nd and 15, 11 personnel, nickel defense. I'm sorry this is stretched out longer than I thought it was going to, and I'm sorry I went on my soapbox, but I just was like, wow.
It's okay.
We got Ripley's match 3 here, vertical with the fallout. So this is he's off, I'm falling out. Popular concept, 4 verts. Trevor makes a throw.
Difficult to defend.
Nice tackle. They get 10 yards. Watch the protection. Now that it's getting down more to the pass stuff, I'm really watching. So Here's what's crazy about the Jaguars. They're playing with fire. Okay. They think that this guy, I'm gonna be nice and I'm gonna be mean at the same time. I'm sorry. They think this guy is such horseshit that they are sliding to Thibodeau and leaving the back to start on this side and then casually bringing him over late. Like, that is ballsy. That is ballsy. I think this defense is going to get really unlocked if you can get another edge presence.
Which the Giants have. He's just out right now in IR with Aziz. He's a pretty good player. 2nd-round pick last year.
How much has he played this year?
He played in 2 games. He had a strip sack fumble on Justin Fields, and then he re-aggravated his calf injury and landed on the IR about a week and a half ago.
Were they more disruptive with him in the line? They had to have been.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, they played the Bears when he was in the lineup, and I think Dallas. So Dallas, that was just a really strange game where Dallas's defensive front murdered the New York Giants. But I think if he was able to be healthy more often, you would see him out there in these situations, in these passing situations, and it would be much more explosive because he has some really good pass rushing moves to win high side.
Yeah. But you see the problem here? I mean, look at this. Like, Etienne's not even looking over there. If they just coffee house this dude, which is known as you walk him up. Now, they may bring him across, but if you just ran this right here, This guy's free. He's stepping up, and then we have to come all the way over and block that guy.
Do you think it could have just been a or some sort of mishap by ETN here?
He's done it twice in a row.
No gotcha.
It's because it's deliberate. Both times he's done it, he stepped up and looked to that side and then looks over. Now, or actually, no. So what he's doing is, it's actually the opposite. So he's looking up, so that's unfair. So he's looking over there. You can see he's looking right there.
Yeah.
And then he's staying on that side and then looking back. Okay. So let's say this guy bails and you bring the nickel underneath. This is what I was talking about. Remember I was saying put Thibodeau on the other side?
Yes.
If they do this, because he steps up and he kind of shuffles, he'd have to block a nickel coming underneath at that pattern and would basically probably come back and end up blocking him into the play. Like that's playing with fire, my man. All right, 3rd and 5. Giants hold him here. 1-3-7 personnel. We get one cross. Good defense here. So we got cover 1. They run a choke technique here, which means they're going to put somebody outside the tight end. They've been 7-man protecting a little bit by we're keeping Ingram in earlier. And it's 12 personnel. So they're going to put him up here, which forces him. He can't just block and help on this guy. If he does, then he can trigger and rush. They have the backside defender. It looks like they're doing it with the corner. He's basically playing the rat from depth. See, now they're playing good defense. They're able to funnel back here to the rat.
Yep.
This is excellent right here.
Yeah, Dory Jackson, his ability to stay square to this break, be patient, and then just pivot like that it's the type of movement skills that true number 1 cornerbacks possess. And I really think, like I said, if he could stay healthy, he is that for this team right now.
What I'd like to see right here is go.
Yeah, it looks like Landon Collins has ETN too and man, and Dane Belton just kind of stops there, like they're paying a lot of attention to ETN, like if he releases into some sort of route. That's a rookie.
They've done some good job on those screens. Like I think it was in some of those condensed sets too. So I could see where that's a thing where you're like, all right, well, let's watch out. Giants, here's the best defense. They hold the ball for 5 minutes, and now it's down to a minute. We're going to let this roll. 2-2-7 personnel for the last every play except for the last 3 plays. The offense is going to be an 11. Until I'll stop when we get to the last 3. All right, here we go. Giants country, let's ride.
Oh, don't do that to us, man. Come on, Chris. What is this?
I want to see Daniel Jones do that.
Let's ride.
Let's ride. The subway. They should make that a MTA commercial. It's the MTA, right?
I would love to see Jones in some commercials, man. Have you ever seen him in front of the camera? He is so like, aw shucks. It's almost like a carbon copy of Eli Manning without like this. It's a little like satirical comment that he would throw out there. Eli had a really good sense of humor.
I'm just thinking this could be a great. It's the MTA. That's what it's called, the subway system, right? The MTA,
yes.
Metro.
Yeah.
Yep. So you could be like, Giants country, let's ride. The subway for only $4.99 this month on a special pass. That would be great.
Have you ever ridden the subway though? It's not the best experience.
I've been in New York. Oh, we have sexy find dot x YZ wants me to look at the hot photos, so we're gonna have to block that person.
Yeah, let's do that.
Shit. We get somebody spamming the chat. I think it's a great idea. It's amazing how much better the Giants defense gets when there's no linebackers on the field.
Right? I'm telling you. That's why they love to play quarter.
I thought the guard was a receiver for a second. I'm like, they need to cover that guy, and then I realized that's not.
How far downfield is he though?
It's a screen, so he's going out for a while. Are there rules against tailback screens where they can't go downfield?
I think so. I could be wrong there, but isn't that still an eligible man until the quarterback releases the football? JT's in here; he can definitely correct me and make me look like a fool.
Yeah. Give us. I don't know a lot of the rules with some of the smaller stuff on those sort of things. I don't know. So now they're starting to just mug up here. And what's ended up happening, what this does, I don't know why they mug to Thibodeau. I don't understand. I know he's got the back, but he's just asking for. I mean, they're basically having to man this up. And now he steps up. Now you get your one-on-ones on the edge. Great coverage.
That Fabian Moreau, it skipped for me. I believe that was Moreau.
3rd and 10. Again, he's going to the side of the back here. So now Tibbs has got a one-on-one over here potentially. They keep the tight end in, so they must be terrified of him because they're in 3-by-1 and they're keeping the number 1 receiver back there to block for him. And what I'm curious is if the back is over here, do they not keep him in? But they're keeping him in to protect. I mean, look at this. You got to stand up one receiver, and this is the problem. Yep. I don't know why this guy doesn't just add. I don't get it. I mean, if he just goes.
Yeah, I think that's what ETN expected too there. That's where his eyes go.
Nice throw.
Yeah.
Here we go. 2 minutes. Still.
They run 10 plays in a minute and 7 seconds.
With no timeouts, right?
No timeouts. A lot of them were also penalties that extended plays and things like that. I think there were 3 penalties on this drive.
Here's a sack. We got 2-man. All these snaps are 2-man -1. So they're running 2-man on the backside. But it looks like cloud because what ends up happening is this guy, he's playing heavy outside leverage now because it is 2-man. And so and he's close, which is scary because he gets open. But this aggressiveness here down the field, because he starts to think he's going over, so he melts back to the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Which can be a problem, I mean, if you're not careful, but they end up getting out of there and they make the play. I'm sorry if I'm playing the same song again.
It's peaceful. It's fine.
I'm trying to do everything. I'm trying to do everything at once.
Again, you have the tight end and the running back just going right at the kick.
They full slide. They full slide away, and they let the tight end. Wow! And they get the sack and the fumble.
Yeah, this play is negated by an Adoree Jackson hold from what we just saw, though.
Okay, so that was down the field. So then, back-to-back problems to ice the game. So on this play, you got 2-man. You throw. And this is like a no-look. I don't know what this is. This is crazy. I'm looking over here. I don't like it. I just turn and blindly throw.
Yeah, I couldn't wrap my head around this, and it should have been the end of the game, but the Giants got called for illegal hands to the face on Dane Belton at the bottom of the screen, and he just kind of touches the face mask there, and they flagged it. But that would have been a nice way to end the game.
Yeah.
Giants only have 1 interception this season. They have 1 interception, and they have 8 forced fumbles. They lead the league in fumbles right now.
All right, here's the old Belichick 5 trap coverage.
Yeah.
Saban does it a little differently. They call it 5 cougar. Basically, what's going to happen is when you play 2-man, the downside is you're playing heavy outside, heavy inside. So you cannot really help playing those outs. So what they'll do is they'll make it look like it is 2-man, but as the corner wheels around down the field, he's going to get his eye back and look to trap the out. It's 2-minute situation, so you're anticipating out to begin with. And here's what you get. The corner's going to let him beat him because he's in 2-man, so he's going to trail. His eyes go back. He sees him go to sit down. I'm going to sit down. He realizes Lawrence is throwing the ball. He's already about to break on the out. If he doesn't waste these couple steps, if he just sits his ass down right here, he makes the pick and maybe a pick 6 a la Asante Samuel versus the Jaguars back in 2005 in the playoffs. One of those clips that stood out in my mind. Leftwich threw the interception. It looked like 2-man. It was right when I was first learning football. And Leftwich threw a pick, and it was literally 2-man, and Asante whipped his head around and picked the ball off, making it look like 2-man. It's great. It's a great coverage. He wastes. You see how he waits a few steps and hesitates?
Oh, yeah.
He stops right now. He picks this off. It's those 4 little steps.
It's so deliberate, too, with the safety just flowing so far and Fabian Moreau being in trail.
So pretty. y'all can figure out how to keep this your base personality. You might like just get like smaller safeties up here. I'm serious though. Like if those backers are gonna play like that, put quicker guys, put small guys. I'm actually not serious, but like
no, I know. But honestly, against Green Bay in the red zone on 1st and 10, the Giants rolled out there in this personnel package, and that was before Landon Collins was even able to dress. Now with Landon Collins here playing like 23 snaps or whatever he played, if he can continue like with his fatigue and if he can stay healthy and things like that, you might start seeing even more in base type of situations, just lighter personnel packages. I honestly don't believe Wink Martindale wants Tay Crowder and Jalen Smith out there as much as they are.
No. Because as soon as he thinks he even gets a sniff that they're going to throw the ball, they're out of that.
Exactly. Yes.
I think if you're going to play the Giants, I know like the no shit moment of the night. I think if you're going to play the Giants and you're going to be successful, I think you got to keep them out of that third down shit. Because your job is to keep Jalen Smith on the field.
100%. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
I mean, I hate to be targeting one player so badly, but like when you see, this isn't being a hater. I don't have anything against Jalen. Like some people think that there's like these grudges. Like, I couldn't give a shit. I didn't even know Jalen Smith was on the Giants until tonight. That's not what I watch for. This is a ridiculous throw. I know it's broken up, but this is just. I mean, you're talking about the corner, like about them playing inside routes at corner, about facing sideline.
Yeah.
The Giants are really good at flipping their hips around, really protecting that inside, making them run around them, and then being able to wheel back.
And that was Moreau. That was a really good play by Moreau. But Adoree is really special in that area, and he has some really smooth speed turns as well. Who gets in for the pressure here? I think it's Dex.
They're trying to chip on Thibodeau. I don't like. What is this? Is this fucking Titanic? Are they taking a picture of the top of the bow? I mean, what do you keep fighting, dude?
Honestly, at that point though, he's already beat. Might as well just throw your hands in the air like that. It's not aesthetically pleasing on tape, but who knows?
Yeah. We got 3rd and 15 here. This turns into like quarter half-ish. I don't think it is. I think it's 2-man still. PFF calls this quarter half. Clearly man-to-man. I gotta love PFF. All right, so let's talk about that.
ETN doesn't fall here and he catches this. He could have housed it.
I mean, it's a great design. I mean, it's just a cool design. Get him out of there. You know they're in 2-man. They obviously like 2-man in the situation, which is a good pass coverage, but
just falls on his ass, man.
The misery. That's one that because now that play's done. Good luck using that again.
And you had blockers in space. There were no Giants really in the. Oh, that would have been devastating.
4th and 15. All right, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, roughing the passer here on a ET stunt.
How about this throw? Now this is like where I understand where people are like, holy shit.
Yep.
I mean,
this is Trevor Lawrence.
Like how are you supposed to tackle him though? If you're running like that, like what are you supposed to roll? Tuck and roll?
It's insane.
I mean, the DB helps him a little bit, but damn.
It's a dart.
Now all right. Jags going 0-2 personnel. The Giants are now in 1. They have 8 DBs on the field. What were you going to say, my friend?
I was just going to say, they just drop 3 consecutive plays here.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive back city. Another great play by Adoree on this one. Sink underneath the route and just get into the catch point.
That's fantastic.
It's good player.
All right, so here's a concept you don't see much, which is actually I don't think this is 2-man. I think this is up here. It is, or like some sort of. I think it's like bracket number 2, like cut with press, He's eyeballing 3. Nick was playing 2 vertical. This is like what people would call stump or special or stubby. I'm gonna go play my favorite song for the last couple plays.
Let's do it.
I don't know. The song's ridiculous. I just think it's hilarious. So watch the end zone in this here. I thought the Giants did a good job in empty.
They did. And what does that coincide with? Which type of personnel do the Giants typically roll out whenever Jacksonville was in empty?
Yeah. Little 3 high safeties. This is 2-man now. This is actually with 3-man. I thought that when I saw that, I was like, oh boy. I mean, not that it's interference, but you know how the NFL is. I mean, they'll look for everything.
I think Giant fans would have, I don't even know what they would have done if that was called after the 3 calls on this drive that really helped Jacksonville move the ball down the field.
You can see, because watch 37's body language after he breaks his stuff. Oh no, it was overthrown. I'm sorry. He puts his hands off and he's just like, you can just tell he's like, oh boy.
They would have went with it. It wasn't catchable. And now right here, though, Christian Kirk being the number 1 receiver outside, that's kind of like a sign that something's about to happen to the Giants defense. Because that's Christian Kirk at the top of the screen.
Yeah.
Typically a slot guy.
My comments for this play were, if only they had a field goal.
Right?
Awesome ending. So, quick thoughts. I mean, I really need quick thoughts because you guys have seen. All right, I'm gonna switch this back. All right, here we go.
See.
I'm gonna take off the camera. I'm gonna go to 2 cameras. Wow, the music's still playing from the other one. Oh well, then we can talk about the music. My favorite guy, sports guy ever, is Scott Farrell. I mean, that's what he did, and I always love that. He's like, come on, we gotta watch the Giants and the Raiders, and there's like Guns N' Roses playing underneath it. It's awesome. Severely disappointed. I saw no funk. I saw bad fundamentals. I was expecting like, it's Wink Martindale, here we go. But I pick these games before I watch them. I mean, I do this for fun. I have a lot of other stuff going on, so it's one of these, like, I don't have the time to go through games and watch. Like, oh, that one. But when it came down to it, they did what they had to do. And sometimes cliche can be, winning ugly is better. Winning ugly is a sign of a champion. You're on the road. No, they were in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I know it's not August, but it's not cold.
No, yeah.
It's not humid.
And it was only really their second true away game. They opened up in Tennessee, and then they had the London game against Green Bay. So this was really the only second real away game, and it didn't even feel like it because there were so many Giant fans down there.
Notice that.
Yeah.
There was another game I was watching, and it was like that where – what game was it where there was a lot of cheering for the other team, and I was like – it might have been the Dolphins, which doesn't surprise me. The Steelers fans are great, and Dolphins fans can be – how do I say about my fellow Miami brethren? Fickle? That's nice. It's a nice way of putting it. Yeah.
There's a lot to do in Miami.
There is, and there's also a lot of people from the Northeast down there. So, but anyway, yeah, you get that a lot in Florida because the Jaguars are a newer team. Like Duval, there's hardcore Duval people, but I haven't met. I've lived in this state for. I mean, I left for a while, but I've been coming back and forth all the time. I don't think I've ever met a diehard Jaguars fan, and I'm only 2 hours away. So growing up here was the Dolphins and the Bucs, and that was it. And so your stadium's going to get invaded if you play a Northeast team, especially a New York team. Now, a lot of the New Yorkers that come down, they're mostly from South Florida. Maybe they make that trip up. It's a 6-hour drive. It's not just around the corner. But anyway, doesn't matter. There were a lot of people there. You went on the road, not necessarily a hostile environment in terms of crowd, but the weather and just Jacksonville sucks. I mean, I can say that as a Floridian. Like, I remember the year that they had the Super Bowl in Jacksonville. I know you're only here for one day, but Do you remember when the Super Bowl was in Jacksonville and like everybody was just losing their minds? All the media people were losing their minds because there was nothing to do.
Which year was that?
You might be a little younger. 2005.
Okay, yeah, I was still in high school.
Don't tell me how young you were. Actually, save that. No, how old were you in 2005?
I was 15.
Oh, that's not bad. I was.
No, I don't think you're that much older than me.
21. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would have. Well, at that time, at the Super Bowl, I would have been 20. But yeah, all the people were like, "There's nothing to do here." Largest city in America, by the way.
Speaking of, you win
on the road, you keep it up, like you said.
Yeah.
You bite your arm off to be 6-1.
6-1 right now, and it's.
George. I was 8-5. Okay, relax, George.
Yeah, George.
Don't laugh at me, okay? If you want to tell us you were 8-5, that's fine, but don't laugh at me. Doing this for fun. No, but George has a good question. Let's address this. What do you think changes in the NFL when it comes to how sound team? What do you think changes in the NFL when it comes to how sound teams are? I don't quite understand the question, George. Can you? I mean, do you have any? I'm a little confused what he means.
I'm not 100% certain either.
Yeah, are you meaning like what do the Giants need to do to become more scheme fundamental wise? Are you asking team to team how different is it? Like I guess that's where I'm a little confused.
Are you talking about how there's like less scoring this season, and it seems like it's more of a defensive game right now relative to last year?
Stop being idiots. Like it's the NFL. I love the NFL, but it makes me so mad. Like people have been saying for years how to stop these passing attacks from college game, and people say to me, "Oh, the pro game is different." Yeah, it's different, but it's different because of factors where it doesn't have to be. Yeah, the PI rules are the same or different rather. Yeah. But most teams that are good that want to produce NFL players are not saying, "Hey, you can do this." They're not coaching up that part of it. There are some differences, but not that much to completely change the game. And even high school teams, like I'm talking about the high-end high school teams, like some of their passing game it's incredible how quickly it's accelerated. And this is my thesis. The Seattle Seahawks ruined defensive football for 5 to 10 years. They set it back. They did because everybody copied that shit, wasn't able to be copied.
And it's kind of difficult to copy when you have players like Earl Thomas, roaming the center field. That just can't be replicated.
I've used this before, but the movie Multiplicity, where you make the copy of the copy, and the copy is always worse.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
The copy of the copy of the copy is worse. It just keeps getting worse and worse. So George clarified his question. He said, "You brought up earlier how college teams teach and execute defense is much better than they do at the NFL level. Guys seem to be in random, useless spots all the time." I do know why. It's one. You get more time in the practice field. There's so much more time in college. And fundamentals is if you don't use it, you lose it. If you're not working on that stuff all the time. But the downside is you miss tackles. I didn't see a whole lot of missed tackles today, but you can clearly see the Giants are being coached up, and this is where the NFL is different because scoring's up, and you even see this in college. You see guys run through arm tackles, and it used to be, well, they didn't practice tackling. Now or they weren't good at tackling. Now it's more they're emphasizing the strip. And in a high-scoring league, you have to steal possessions. And I think this is a total spitball here. But I think in the NFL, the teams that are going to win from here on out until the next wave comes, until somebody comes in with 2 tight ends and a fullback and just mows everyone down, it's that the teams that are able to shift gears are the ones that are going to be able to win. Meaning the teams that can grind out a game can play different styles. They can grind out a game or they can get into a shootout. They can change tags. Because if you're playing the Tennessee Titans or someone like that, and you try to go for a bunch of strips and you don't get them, you're playing shitty defense and Derrick Henry's running through your face.
Yes.
And you're not, and you're going to get up. They're going to get up by 2 scores, and then they're going to just kill you.
And also to George's question, and I think you touched on this, Coach, the players that are being brought in might not have been in the system all that much. And that's the case for the New York Giants, who have kind of been decimated by injuries. And you have guys like Jalen Smith out there who has only been here for about 4 weeks, if even, players like that. So that's another big aspect as to why there are so many miscommunication errors.
Yeah. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's why we're seeing the vanilla stuff. I mean, Wink was only the coordinator for the Ravens for 18, 19, 20, 21, 4 years, right? Dean Pease, the God, was there before that. But that team, there was a nucleus there, and they knew how to play off each other, and they knew the system. The other thing you got to keep in mind, like playing over cover one in the same city is different than being over cover one, like especially if you're signing guys off the street. They've been training by themselves, and now all of a sudden they're so affected by all the other change around them. Like just one little thing can tweak it and change everything else. Like your settings are different. You're wearing a different color uniform. I mean, and I think that when the margins are there, one lapse of concentration on some of these plays, one wrong step and you're dead.
One slight hesitation.
You can see where they make a mistake, and then you watch it later on in the game, the mistake gets corrected. You know, and so he said, it makes a lot of sense. I just can't imagine every bozo DC in the league is such a bozo that they can't teach run fits well. Well, here's the crazy part. So Wink comes from a coaching tree that is, and I don't know all the whole background, but I know that the Ravens guys for a while were like pressure. The thing is, the more defenses you run, the more shit you got to fit. And it has struck me, I could be wrong, but Wink Martindale has struck me as like a rock, paper, scissors guy, where he's up, you're frozen. I'm going to throw a bunch of shit at you, and we're going to overwhelm you, and we're going to do all this shit, and we're going to make you bend to our will, and we may not be perfect, but we're going to be explosive, and we're going to be fast, and we're going to bring pressure, and we're going to force you to make early throws just by our alignments and just by the threat of our pressure. And that's one way to play defense. The problem is if you play with that style, but you don't do the really aggressive shit, or you don't have the people that can do it, now you're just playing bad defense. And you're willing to take, you're willing to get your ass ripped on a few runs if you know, like the big fumble they got gashed. But somebody ran 100 miles an hour. The whole adage I mentioned earlier, if you make a mistake, make it 100 miles an hour, go knock the shit out of the ball, scoop it up, and you flip it's all about possessions. So you're willing to take a little bit of that because you're causing chaos. And Wink is like the chaos king. He's taken over the mantle from Greg Williams as the chaos king, and that's how you coach defense. That's how I coach defense for a while, was like, we're just going to overwhelm people with shit. And hopefully, because the problem, if you solely rely on fundamentals and somebody's better than you, then what? Somebody's always going to be bigger and stronger. So if you're going to play, back to my point about Seattle, you're going to sit in cover 3 every time. If you're better than them, it's a great defense. If you're not, it's Gus Bradley.
Gus Bradley with the Raiders last year.
Yeah. Gus Bradley with the Raiders. Gus Bradley with the Jaguars. Gus Bradley with the Colts. Fill it in. And I hate to shit on a fellow coach, but like, I don't think sitting and playing over cover 3 every snap is the world's answer to the problems either. Yeah, they beat the Chiefs, even a blind squirrel, but you create a moving target. And part of that is, if you're going to do a lot of crazy shit, you're gonna have to just create chaos. You're gonna make some mistakes. The problem the Giants have right now is they're implementing that thought. And again, they're 6-1. I'm not trying to sound any alarm, but they're playing. Let me take a step back. They are dealing with the issues of a super aggressive defense, but they don't have the benefits of it yet. Does that make sense? That's probably the best way to describe it.
I would say in previous games they have seen the benefits. I really think it's.
This is where you come in. This is like,
Coach. I really think that and this was, you said it was predetermined. Like you just picked like the worst game to watch. Like this was a really bad game by this defense from a fundamental standpoint, from a pressure standpoint. Like we said, we didn't even really see that much exotic stuff. But if you go through some of the Green Bay tape, if you go through some of the Carolina tape, if you go through some of the Chicago tape, you'll see a much different product, a little bit of a more disciplined product, even in terms of fitting the run. I think Chicago, Tay Crowder had the best game that he's ever had as a New York Giant. And we were like, oh, wow, can he take steps in this new system? Then he kind of regressed after that game. So I really do think this game was a bad example of this defense, albeit this defense still has so many holes from a personnel standpoint, specifically at linebacker, and from everything that you just talked about over the last 10 minutes. You're right. I think how run fits and pressure are married, I think it's not a refined product quite yet with this defense, but this was like the extreme example of what goes wrong when you're not fully capable to execute the assignments that you're being tasked to. And the linebackers looked horrendous in this game.
Yeah. And that might be right. And maybe it was a situation where Doug Peterson schemed up a guy like Tay Crowder, where what does he do? He's good at running around. He's good at making plays. He's good at doing things. Well, let's put him in a position based on the defense's rules where we get a free shot on him and he's got to take on a tackle.
That's one thing.
Chicago do that. I can't answer that right now. I could go watch the game.
I'll tell you, you watch what Todd Downing did against Tay Crowder in week 1 against Tennessee. Dontrell Hilliard is the backup running back for the Tennessee Titans. No one knows who Dontrell Hilliard is. He became a huge part of the offense, and he scored 2 touchdowns where he was isolated against the linebackers, one Austin Calitro, who doesn't play anymore, and Tay Crowder. And then he had also like a 40-yard catch on a wheel route. It was a match type of defense where Tay Crowder did not get outside fast enough, and you're just using an athlete like Dontrell Hilliard in space to take advantage of Tay Crowder. And it harkens back to last year, week 2 against Washington, where J.D. McKissick just torched Tay Crowder in coverage, and it led to the comeback victory on primetime television, Thursday Night Football. I feel like a lot of offensive coordinators look at Crowder and they say, we're going to attempt to exploit him. And it's something that we saw earlier in the season. You see it a little bit in the run game, like you brought up as well. But through the air, it's been an issue since he's come here. And again, this is Mr. Irrelevant. So he's exceeded all the expectations being a starter here, taking over for Blake Martinez, who left the team. That's a huge deal because Wink Martindale wants the green dot to be with Xavier McKinney. He doesn't want it to be with a linebacker because he likes to sub the linebackers out so often. So you want,
that's a great point.
Yeah, Xavier McKinney is going to be the green dot. And I think Blake Martinez, who was coming off of a torn ACL in week 3 last year, comes back to the team. His green dot was stripped of him, and he wasn't voted captain. So I think he probably assumed like this, I'm not going to get the best run with this defense. I'm in the last year of my deal. Let's just amicably part ways. And that's what it seemed like happened, but he hasn't really resurfaced anywhere. And I still think we could use Blake Martinez right now. I don't know if it was an ego thing or whatnot. People say, oh, he's not exactly. People are like, it's not a scheme fit. I'm like, got to tell you something. None of these linebackers are scheme fit if Blake Martinez isn't a scheme fit, So I think that the loss of Blake Martinez is still being felt right now. And I don't think he's going to come back, but it's an issue that the Giants are overcoming or attempting to overcome.
Yeah, it was strange to me. Like, and we'll let this be because I could talk to you all night. The thing, it wasn't strange, I guess. The Jaguars I thought the Jaguars, they only scored, was 13 they finished with?
They scored 17.
17, that's right. Giants had 13 until the end. Sorry. So the thing that I was interesting about their plan of attack was they mostly neutralized the interior alignment for the Giants in terms of like, think of all the run plays we looked at. Yeah. There was one inside zone that really cut back. They didn't run one play of inside zone. Everything was to try to wash those linemen. And everything was targeted at the linebackers, and it was targeted at the edge. And they still moved the ball pretty well. I mean, they had a pretty good amount of chunk plays for only 17 points.
They did.
One of them was dumbass sneak call, and the second one was that strip. I mean, he's going to the end zone, or maybe not, but he gets stopped at the 3. Where'd the strip happen? The 5-yard line? I mean, it's still inside the 5-yard line. The 5-yard line are in. Like, I'm watching. I'm going back and cataloging. You're talking. I'm cataloging the plays in my head and going back into that catalog and going like, how did we get 17 points? I mean, we were seeing like, and the thing is some nights I pick certain plays. I let this game go. You saw, we watched 73 snaps. You know, I think that the problem that you have with the Giants right now, again, this is a 6-1 football team. The corners are pretty good. The safeties are good. The interior linemen are good. But the weird part about them is it's almost like stacked, which is almost good. Because of like every other guy's a badass, you can like siphon them off and target. But you guys have good corners, which I know Wink wants. You got a good smart safety in the back end to tie it all together, right? But the problem is those edge guys playing the run, and we saw that was brutal. And there was a lot of yards left out there that if you just take one step to the left and one step to the right, nothing crazy, nothing like, oh, if he spins and hurdles a guy and then does something else. No, I mean literally just make a normal cut. You're adding 20 yards on a couple runs. I thought Doug did a good job, but you could also turn and look at this and be like, well, you had one of the best schemers in the game. Now I know the Jaguars were terrible last year, and you want to talk about overperforming any of your expectations. They just looked the part. I know they lost, but like, I think what they've done for his first year there with a quarterback that's been beaten down, the Giants have too. So I mean, if I played you this game and I like last year at this time, I was like, well, this is what's going to happen next year. You'd be like, okay, how do the Jaguars have so many wins, and how do we have so many wins? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
what happened? Did we sign Tom Brady? Maybe that's a dated reference now.
Oh, dude, devastating.
But like, you see where there's the germ of it, but you can see, I think Peterson gave people a blueprint with a little bit better talent to take advantage. And now it's Wink's job to shore that up without removing too much of what makes them good. Where, I mean, if you could defend the middle runs and the outside one-on-one throws, the one thing we didn't see is nobody went up, correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't see any deep balls over the top that were caught.
No, none that were caught. There were arguably some that should have been better throws.
But it was what I meant by that is that was a scheme problem. That wasn't a oh shit, that guy sucks and he's better, and like just throw the ball up and make the play. Like they got open because of the scheme. So it's not the personnel, was what I mean. So that's a pretty good formula to start a good pass rush. They can't run in the middle and they're good one-on-one. Pretty damn good. But you at least need one of those linebackers that can be players.
Every weakness with this Giants team is essentially over the middle of the field through the pass or on these lateral runs. Like if you go through this entire season, especially in week 1, the Giants were just chewed up by play action horizontal crosses. That's something that they really struggled to deal with. And I feel like they've done a better job on the whole since then, but that's something that I felt like the linebackers just on the play action, they won't robot and get to their landmarks and they won't find the crossers or they're just out of position. And those lateral runs, I would argue that blueprint was set in week 3 because Kellen Moore just came out and he was like, all right, I'm going to put a tight end who is on the line or off the line of scrimmage, 2-point stance, just off the tackle by about 3 yards with a wide receiver off the line of scrimmage behind him, kind of like a stack. And I'm just going to block down, have the easy angle on the edge. We're going to pin the play side tackle. And that just happened so many times. And then the Giants had this guy, Austin Calitro. I call him Mr. Worldwide because he looks like Pitbull and he's been on like 12 different teams before. And he no longer plays anymore because on Tyron Smith's first play at guard, or is it not Tyron Smith? Jason Peters. I'm sorry. Jason Peters' first play, they put him at guard and they run weak side with Ezekiel Elliott. And poor Calitro tries to pinch inside where Dexter Lawrence is, and Peters just washes him down. And it ends up going for like 27 yards or something like that, which was like the longest run for Ezekiel Elliott since 2020. And you can just see that the blueprint was set at that point where it was like, this team can't defend lateral runs. They can't. And that was Kayvon Thibodeau's first game. And the craziest part about it was I thought they were going to be good at defending lateral runs because in week 1 against Derrick Henry, that's a feared matchup. The Giants were disciplined on those lateral runs. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm on mute. That's why I never do it because I'm a jackass. Forget to turn it off. Who was the first team they played?
Tennessee. So They came out there and Derrick Henry, they kept trying to do that stretch zone stuff and it was no go. I mean, the Giants played it phenomenally. And if you think Ryan Tannehill had throwing the football to Treylon Burks and Kyle Phillips and washed Robert Woods, so it wasn't like you really had to plan for the passing attack. But I felt like the Giants did a really good job shutting down the run, lateral runs there. But ever since then, it's kind of been an issue.
Here's an interesting question. With NIL in place and far greater practice time, why don't more players stay in college longer? If they're at a top program, it's not like their coaches are worse than most NFL coaches. Because NIL money doesn't touch NFL money. Bryce Young made $1 million. He's going to make how much more next year? You know, I mean, also, there's no guarantees. Like NIL's in a like, yeah, you may have a contract with as long as you're on the team. But if you get hurt and you don't play anymore, or whatever happens, or in the transfer portal, you're not guaranteed that money. By the way, I'm not saying NFL coaches are worse than college coaches. I will say some are. My point was more the NFL has a way of doing things based on their own. The NFL by nature is a conservative league, and it's what was done. What's the best answer now? Owners want to get the hot name. And the problem is there's only so many Sean McVays. There's only so many Pete Carrolls. There's only so many of these guys. And so instead of doing due diligence and finding the best candidate for the job, they try to get the crumb grabbers, the guys that are not, and that's very harsh, but the guys that are not why they're good, they don't have what Sean McVay. It's easy to run Sean McVay's offense if you're Sean McVay. The guy in Green Bay, he ain't Sean McVay. LaFleur. He's not as good as McVay. No. And I'm not the biggest McVay stan on the planet, but he's not Sean McVay. So you're getting diet Sean McVay. Here's the thing you have to think about. It's all well and good to work for Sean McVay, but at some point when you hire him, newsflash, he's not going to work for Sean McVay anymore. So now you're relying on what he learned from Sean McVay. Does he evolve? Because the problem is some people, when they're ahead of the curve, they want to hang on to that because that's what made him good and got him in the first place, and they never evolved. Well, I've always loved Andy Reid. He don't give a shit. He doesn't do whatever he can to win. Some guys get scared to go outside the comfort zone. And let me tell you something. Wink Martindale's an amazing coach. He would be way better in college. Why? Because he has way more time with his players. Way more time.
Yeah.
In college football, when June starts, the fun's just beginning. Those guys are there all summer long. All summer long. NFL? Sayonara. I'm gone for a month and a half. Gone. When February hits in the NFL, those guys are gone till the draft, right before the draft. Gone. And they come in for a little bit and then they leave again. Then they have the OTAs and then they leave again. College, there's no leaving. You get Christmas break, holiday break. That's it. You get a week of spring break. You are back on the field. You are getting coached all year long. You are in film sessions. There's no collective bargaining agreement that says you don't have to be in a certain place. Yeah, there's rules about how many hours you can be in there and how many practices, but there's no rules on how many unsupervised practices you can have. So what the coaches do is they go stand on the balcony. I watched Alabama practice from Nick Saban's balcony with the defensive coordinator at Alabama and his right-hand man. And technically on the field, and technically they weren't coaching the team, but when there was a problem, it was that right? There's no rule about watching practice from a balcony. So those guys, that was the week after 4th of July. Week before 4th of July. So, I mean, it's a limited time. There's all these rules in place. Now, yes, in a certain week, the pros have more time with their coaches, but not on the field. I mean, these guys are practicing an hour and a half, and they have all these rules about when they can and cannot hit. You're not going to get and you shouldn't, because in the pros, the game's so violent and it's so long throughout the season, you have to basically say, hey, well, we're going to have to simulate this stuff, right? That's why. I don't mean like I do think that I will stand behind my comment about the Seahawks though. I think people thought, oh, I can just play 4 down and play cover 3. Easy for me to do. That's great. And then Sean McVay and those guys came along and just ran over route after over route after over route and got them wide open. Like that shit would have never happened. I remember I've told the story before. 30 seconds. I keep hearing this name McVay. I don't watch any NFL football at this point, and I keep hearing about this guy. It was the Rams Chiefs in 2018. It was like 55-53, whatever that crazy ass game. And I remember I had like laundry in my hand, and I stopped and I watched like 2-3 plays in a row. I was living with my head coach, and he had the game on, and I went, "Are these guys fucking serious?" They're talking about the Chiefs defending him, and it was literally like 3 over routes in a row. I'm like, how is this shit getting open? I was like, have these guys never heard of cover 4? And just put the safety away from the over route. My guy goes to the flat. The overhang takes him. I look back to the over route, and I take him. And then that guy can go play the post. Like, now I'm a high school coach at this point, and we're not doing all that great. And I walked into my room. 3 years later, Brandon Staley plays too high. It's Fangio. The difference is Fangio's a prick, and he doesn't talk to the media. But Staley's the good-looking guy, young, great story. He's out there talking. And it was like, it blew their fucking mind. I'm like, does everybody remember Jimmy fucking Johnson that was doing this 25 years ago? I'm a stupid-ass high school coach walking through, watching 3 snaps and going, why don't you just play quarters? And then walked out, figured it out in 30 seconds. And you mean to tell me that they let McVay get how many years of – and you watch the Patriots in that Super Bowl, they played fucking 6-1 cover 4. That's all they did. They ran a couple snaps of man. It completely filleted them. And I'm like, how are you getting paid millions of dollars that some idiot that's not even paying attention can walk through the house and go, why don't you do that? And then just keep walking. Like no film study, nothing. I was just like, it's crazy. Like the Bills. And what's crazy is he couldn't even adjust. The Patriots did the 6-1 shit. He went through the whole year, the following year, getting his ass kicked. And they came up with one run, the handback run. I'm like, that's what you got? That's crazy. That's what drives me crazy about the NFL, because it's like, this is the way things have to. It's the first question I have to ask the NFL coaches. Why don't y'all run match coverage? Why don't you run? If somebody was to take Nick Saban's defense and put it in the NFL, I'm telling you. Now, the problem is, here goes back to my point, they have a lot more time to practice, so they can do a lot more shit. College defenses, on average, do entirely way more shit than the NFL. The difference is because the pro teams have more time during the week, they will do more exotic shit because they got them in the building. But I'm talking about the base shit that they do, that they built up over an entire offseason. It's not even close. And plus, Alabama may have to play the triple option. So they're having to work. Like, I was there at Bama one year. They were playing Georgia Southern. Everybody's losing their fucking minds because that was the most yards Saban had given up. And Saban was like on the warpath, like freaking out on everyone. I was like, oh shit. I was drawing something for Tosh, and I'm with the defensive staff, and they had me go through what we did versus the option. And I get this just like aura at the door, and I'm like, and Saban's just staring at me, and I was like, hi. And Tosh jumped up, and he's like, hey, this is Chris Asher. He had no interest in me. Shook my hand, hi. And he's like, come outside with me. Probably to yell at him for giving me a pen to be on the board. But like, that's what they're worried about. The NFL, it's all the same shit. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. That's what drives me insane. Like, the answers are there, and people are too stubborn, or and I'm not asking for shit that hasn't been proven to work. We're talking about basics, quarters coverage, and everybody's like, can you believe it? Playing 2 high safeties reduces runs. Well, no shit it does. Or passes. Well, no shit it does. Like, what are we talking? It took this. Like, I want to know how many people in these fucking analytics departments had to study as much shit as they did, how much money was wasted to come to that fucking outcome. Anyway, I'll stop because I
think I got a just round of applause. I sat there and just listened to that, and it was a great rant. So that was pretty freaking awesome to listen to, Coach.
Yeah. Well, let's leave it with here. I'm really sorry, man. I went off the rails. I watch shit like this because I've heard I personally, I don't give a shit about this stuff. I'm happy with what I'm doing. I got out of the rat race. I started my own business and decided just to hang out and have fun. But I hear so many people at the lower levels that are told, "Oh, you can't do that because you're just a high schooler. You're just a college guy." And I'm like, you mean the guys that are coming up, like this great innovation of, when Andy Reid started going away from his shit to go to more spread, he had a college guy. Literally, Brad Childress's job was to watch college football games and give ideas to him. Everything trickles up.
Everything trickles up.
All that air raid shit, all that no huddle shit. Yeah, Marv Levy did the K-gun stuff, so give him props to that. But I'm talking about the air raid passing game, which is 95%. That's a little aggressive. I don't know what let's go with high percentage passing of the game. Where do you think that came from? A bunch of fucking idiots in Iowa. They're just like, hey, we're Mike Leach and those guys. We're just a bunch of idiot college guys at NAIA school. Change the world in passing game. So you're going to tell me because you're in the pros, you're the best, you're the best because you're just at that level? I don't buy that shit. Anyway, I'm off this. Thanks for listening to me, dude. I'm sorry. I get when I get with somebody else, I just get fired. I just like go, and I know you got to roll. So I appreciate everybody standing around. Thanks, Russell. I'm glad you enjoyed the conversation. I see this shit and I can see how easily it can be fixed. And my thought is, if I can think of this stuff, how are people that are not getting paid when I'm getting paid 100 times more than I'm getting paid not figure this out? Are they too scared, or this is the way this is what we do, and this is how things, because I've gotten that a lot. Well, this is just how it's done in the NFL. Well, it fucking sucks. So maybe you should think about that.
Change it up.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Had a blast. You are awesome. And hopefully we get together again in the playoffs after a big blue win, and we can do this again. And I can be like, look how good they've gotten.
Sure up that defense, protect the lateral runs. Hopefully the linebackers get upgraded somehow, some way. Hopefully they develop. But Coach, this was an absolute pleasure talking football with you. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Thank you. Shout out your socials real quick for everybody. I should have done this at the beginning.
Absolutely. You can follow me on Twitter at Nick Falato. That is Falato. And you can find my written work at Big Blue View, SB Nation's giant site, and my podcast, Big Blue Banter with CBS's Dan Schneier. It's pretty solid listen, in-depth type of stuff about the New York Football Giants.
And if you ever need anything, you've been overly generous with your time. Please, I'm here for you. If you guys want to talk more about this, or I'm not trying to crowbar myself, but I owe you big. So if you ever need anything, please reach out.
Thank you so much, Coach. This was a pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.